Good morning, dear friend. The first light of dawn stretches quietly across the horizon, and the world seems to hold its breath. The air is cool, still, filled with the faint scent of dew and promise. In this hour before noise, before motion, there exists a sacred pause, a tender invitation for the soul to awaken. The birds have begun their gentle chorus, and even the breeze seems to whisper, "Begin again." It is here, in the calm before the world stirs, that your heart remembers it was made for something deeper than routine. Maybe this morning finds you tired. Perhaps you did not sleep well, and your thoughts began racing before your eyes even opened. You have been carrying something, loss that still aches, fear that still grips, or uncertainty that refuses to let go. You might be standing in your kitchen, coffee in hand, staring at the same walls, the same clock, wondering how much longer you can keep pretending that everything is fine. There was a time when your laughter came easily, when faith felt effortless, when prayer was not a battle but a breath. Yet now, even a simple prayer feels like lifting a mountain. Some mornings arrive like that. You wake up, but your spirit does not. You go through the motions, yet the inner fire that once gave meaning seems dimmed. Maybe it was the loss of someone dear, a season that broke you in ways you did not expect. Maybe it is the quiet loneliness of doing life on your own while pretending to be strong. The world keeps moving, but your heart stands still, replaying the same questions. Why, Lord? How do I keep going? And yet, beneath the H, there is a whisper, a small, stubborn spark that refuses to die. It reminds you that dawn always follows night, that even when everything feels uncertain, light still returns. Perhaps that whisper is what led you here to this very moment, to these words, to this prayer. You are not here by accident. The same God who painted the sunrise knew you would be listening. Right now, in the quiet of your own dawn, today is not just another morning. It is a turning point, a divine threshold between what has been and what can be. The breath you just took is grace. The light touching your window is mercy renewed. Somewhere beyond your awareness, a new beginning waits. And prayer, the kind that rises from the raw, honest places of your heart, is the key that unlocks it. Over the next 24 chapters, we will walk together through a sacred rhythm of awakening, remembrance, and renewal. Each prayer will be a step, a breath, a heartbeat toward hope. You will find words for the moments when you cannot speak, and strength for the moments when you feel you cannot stand. You will rediscover that gratitude is not a denial of pain and is a declaration of victory over it. You will learn again how worship does not erase the storm, but it changes the way you walk through it. This is not a book of perfect prayers. It is a journey of honest ones. Some will rise with tears, others with songs, but each one will lead you closer to the one who listens, not to impress him, but to be held by him. So as morning unfolds around you, take a deep breath. Let the stillness settle. Release yesterday's burdens into the hands that never tire of holding you. You do not have to fix everything today. You do not even have to understand everything. All you need is to open your heart. Let this be your sacred conversation with the God who still speaks through silence, who still turns mourning into dancing, who still meets his children at the edge of dawn. Come, dear friend, the morning has begun, and heaven is already listening. Dear Heavenly Father, the morning has come, and I open my eyes to the quiet stillness of a new day. The light through the window is gentle, yet it feels like a whisper from eternity reminding me that life continues, that grace has not run out. I come to you as I am, carrying the weight of yesterday and the hopes of today, breathing slowly as the world awakens around me. The sound of the birds, the cool air against my skin, the soft gold of dawn, all these small things become reminders that you are near. My heart wants to begin this day not in fear, not in rush, but in awareness of your presence. I confess, Lord, that some mornings are not easy. My thoughts scatter before I even rise from bed, and my heart feels heavy before the sun fully climbs the sky. Sometimes the worries of what lies ahead seem louder than the beauty of the morning. Yet here I am, choosing to turn my soul toward you. I choose to start this day with a whisper of worship instead of worry. I lift my thoughts, my heart, my first breath to say, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me." I remind myself that I am not defined by what went wrong yesterday, nor by the challenges waiting for me today, but by your unchanging goodness. Thank you, Father, for giving me another sunrise. Thank you that mercy is new with every dawn, and that the mistakes I made do not define the person I can become in your love. As the light grows brighter, I ask that you awaken not only my body, but also my spirit. Teach me to notice the small miracles hidden in ordinary hours. Help me to see this morning not as another duty to survive, but as an opportunity to live aware of your grace. I remember that everything I have comes from you, the air filling my lungs, the strength that carries me, the peace that sometimes slips quietly back into my heart when I stop long enough to feel it. I have seen how easily gratitude can change the atmosphere of a day. It does not erase the hard things, but it softens their edges. It reminds me that even when storms come, the light always returns. So I speak gratitude over this morning, for the roof that shelters me, for the food waiting on the table, for the people I love, for the very fact that I am still breathing and still able to choose hope. Father, when my mind starts to wander into the unknown, pull me gently back to the present moment. Help me to begin this day in trust, not anxiety. Let me walk through the hours ahead aware that I am never alone. Surround me with your peace like the morning mist that wraps itself quietly around the earth. When I step out the door, let me carry this peace into every place I go, into every word I speak, into every thought that forms. I know that this day will not be perfect, but I also know that perfection is not what you ask of me. You ask for presence, for honesty, for a heart that remembers you before the noise begins. So I lift my heart to you now, asking that you help me respond to life with grace instead of frustration, with patience instead of hurry, with kindness instead of anger. When I am tempted to rush ahead, slow me down. When I am tempted to give up, remind me of your promises that never fail. When I forget who I am, Whisper my name again as you see me, beloved, chosen, held. Lord, awaken my senses to your goodness. Let the sunrise remind me that even after the longest night, your light always returns. Let the cool air refresh not only my lungs, but also my soul. Let every sound around me the rustle of leaves, the hum of life become a symphony that draws my heart closer to yours. Teach me to bless you not only when I understand, but even when I do not. Help me to trust that every breath I take is part of your greater story, and that nothing in my day is too small to carry your presence. I speak to my soul now. Do not be wary. Do not begin this day with fear. Lift your eyes to the hills from where your help comes. Remember his goodness. Remember his faithfulness. Remember that he has brought you this far and will not fail you now. Choose worship. Choose gratitude. Choose to bless the Lord with all that is within you. And as this day unfolds, let every moment be an offering. Let my work be worship, my rest be trust, my words be gentle, and my heart be open. Let my attitude reflect the light that touches the morning sky. Let me walk through this day aware that I am part of something sacred, something eternal, something held together by love. Father, I do not know what today will bring, but I know who brings the day. I place my heart in your hands before anything else claims. I place my plans under your wisdom before the world defines my worth. I place my hopes within your promises, for you have never failed to keep them. May this first light of morning become the beginning of renewed strength, quiet joy, and steadfast faith. May my soul rise today not in fear of what might happen, but in gratitude for what already is the gift of life, the presence of your Spirit, and the promise that wherever this day leads, you are already there waiting for me. And so, as the world awakens, I awaken too. I rise with a heart ready to bless you. I rise with a mind ready to remember. I rise with hands ready to serve and lips ready to speak words of peace. This is my beginning, my offering, my act of worship in the first light of day. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and let all that is within me remember his name. Father, as I sit in the gentle stillness after greeting this new day, my heart continues where it left off, longing to remain awake to your presence. The quiet from before still lingers, but now the weight of thoughts begins to return, the subtle pull of responsibility and noise waiting just beyond the horizon. Yet before the world begins its endless rhythm, I come back to you. I want to anchor myself again, not in worry, but in gratitude. You are my center when everything else pulls me apart. You are the calm in the middle of 1,000 unfinished things. Father, I admit that worry comes easily to me. It does not knock politely. It barges in and fills the room of my mind. It disguises itself as responsibility, but it only steals peace. It tells me that I must hold everything together, that if I stop thinking or planning, something will fall apart. Yet you never asked me to carry the world, only to walk with you through it. And so, I take a breath and hand you the invisible burdens I keep trying to solve on my own. I give you the uncertainty that lives behind my quiet smile, the small anxieties that cling to my heart like morning fog. I choose to believe that gratitude and worry cannot rule the same heart at once. And today I choose gratitude. Thank you, Father, for the chance to begin again. For the mercy that resets the moment I remember to look toward you. Gratitude does not erase my challenges, but it changes how I face them. When I thank you, I see differently. The same problems that once seemed too large begin to shrink under the light of your goodness. I begin to see what remains instead of what was lost. What can be healed instead of what has been broken. Gratitude is the door that opens my soul to faith again. And through that door I step this morning. Slowly. Intentionally, one breath at a time. I look around and find reasons to thank you even here. Even now. The sunlight filtering through the curtains. The heartbeat that still echoes in my chest. The simple grace of being alive to feel. To hope. To love. Thank you for the people who have walked beside me, even when I did not have the words to explain my struggles. Thank you for every unseen kindness you placed in my path, every small rescue I did not recognize at the time. Thank you that when I thought I was alone, you were already working in the quiet, waving mercy into the unseen corners of my life. Help me, Father, to keep this posture of gratitude through the ordinary hours ahead. When impatience stirs, remind me to pause. When frustration rises, remind me to breathe. When my mind runs ahead to the future, call it gently back to the present moment where you are already at work. Let my gratitude become a rhythm that steadies me. Let it shape my words, my tone, my decisions. Let it protect my joy from being swallowed by what I cannot control. Teach me to thank you not only when blessings are visible, but when faith must look deeper, past the surface of what seems difficult. There are moments, Lord, when gratitude feels costly, when it asks more than I think I have to give. Yet those are the moments when it carries the most power. Gratitude is not blind optimism, it is the quiet courage to say you are good even when I do not yet see how. It is the trust that even in this waiting, something holy is being formed. I have learned that gratitude is not the result of having everything I want. It is the recognition that I already hold what truly matters. I have you, and that is enough to steady my soul. Father, I want to live today with open hands. I do not want to cling tightly to outcomes or demand answers that are not ready to be revealed. I simply want to walk in step with you, noticing the gifts hidden inside the ordinary, the taste of breakfast, the smile of a stranger, the warmth of sunlight on my face, the sound of laughter that echoes from another room. Each moment becomes holy when I choose to see it as a gift. Each breath becomes worship when I remember who gives it. I ask that you help me guard my heart from comparison. Let gratitude protect me from envy, for there will always be more to chase, more to desire, more to prove. Yet when I thank you for what is already here, I find rest. Contentment grows like a quiet garden inside me. I begin to see that joy was never waiting at the end of success. It was always planted in the soil of appreciation. Gratitude does not make life easier, but it makes the heart lighter. And in that lightness, I find the strength to move forward. So today, Lord, I choose gratitude over worry, worship over anxiety, presence over pressure. I choose to see your fingerprints in every corner of my day. I choose to believe that gratitude can build a home strong enough to hold peace. Let this decision guide me when distractions come, when fear whispers, when doubt tries to settle in. Let it remind me that you are greater than my uncertainty, that the same hands that hold the sun in place also hold my life securely. And when the evening comes, may I look back and see not a day without struggle, but a day filled with moments of grace that outshined the fear. May I remember how each thankful breath kept my spirit steady. May I end the day knowing that choosing gratitude was never about ignoring reality, but about acknowledging the deeper truth that you are present in every moment, and that your goodness continues even when I cannot see it. Father, let this awareness stay with me as the day unfolds. Let gratitude be my first language and my lasting rhythm. Let it rise naturally from my heart like the steady beat of life itself. I begin this day with a grateful soul and a quiet trust that you will meet me again and again through the simple blessings I once overlooked. I choose to bless you not out of duty, but out of love. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are. Father, as gratitude begins to settle deeper within me, I find myself remembering what you have already done. The stillness of the morning seems to hold gentle echoes of your past kindness, and I realize how often I overlook them while reaching for what I do not yet have. My heart is learning that remembrance is a form of worship. It slows the rush of worry and replaces it with peace. It turns my attention away from the unknown and back toward the unchanging truth that you have always been faithful. Yesterday's mercies are not distant stories. They are living proof that you will not fail me today. Father, sometimes I forget how far you have brought me. I move from one challenge to another without pausing to recall the moments when you carried me through. There were times I thought I would not survive, yet here I am still breathing, still standing, still surrounded by grace. You have healed wounds that no one else could touch. You have lifted me from places I could not climb out of alone. You have forgiven what I could not forgive myself for. When I look back honestly, I see your fingerprints on every rescue, every quiet redemption, every unexpected moment of strength. Remembering is humbling because it shows me how dependent I have always been on your mercy. Lord, your word tells my soul not to forget all your benefits, for you forgive all my sins. You heal all my diseases. You redeem my life from the pit, and you crown me with love and compassion. These are not ancient promises. They are present realities. You continue to forgive when I stumble, to heal when I am broken, to redeem when I wander, and to crown me when I feel unworthy. Each act of remembrance pulls me closer to truth. It reminds me that I am not forgotten, that I am not walking in circles, that your hand has guided every step whether I saw it or not. Father, help me to practice remembrance as an act of strength. When fear whispers that you are distant, I will answer with memory. I will recall the night you gave me peace when sleep would not come. The moment you sent comfort through a friend's voice. The season when provision appeared just as resources ran out. I will remember the time you spoke hope into my despair through a single verse, and the quiet morning when tears turned into gratitude, because I suddenly understood that you had never left, memory becomes my altar today. On it, I place every testimony that proves your goodness, and I let it burn like incense before you. Sometimes the mind clings to pain more easily than blessing, and the heart forgets joy faster than sorrow. But not this morning, Lord. Today I choose to remember the goodness that carried me here. I remember the grace that rewrote my story when I thought it was over. I remember the compassion that met me in my rebellion and the patience that waited for me to come home. I remember the strength you placed in my hands when I had none left. Every memory becomes a seed of faith, reminding me that the same love that sustained me then will sustain me again. Father, as I recall your benefits, I also remember who you are: kind when I am undeserving, constant when I am unstable, generous when I am empty. You are the reason I can wake each day without despair. Your faithfulness runs deeper than the failures I have known. When life changes, you remain when seasons shift. Your presence does not fade, and when my heart falters, your mercy restores it. Remembering these truths brings rest to my soul. It stills the noise within me and makes room for peace to grow. Teach me to live from remembrance, not regret. Let my memory become a sanctuary where I can return when life feels uncertain. Let it hold stories of how you provided, how you protected, how you answered in ways I did not expect. I want to keep these moments alive in my mind so that when storms come again, I will not tremble. I will simply whisper, "He did it before, and He will do it again." Help me to collect every sign of grace the way others might collect treasures, to store them, not out of nostalgia, but out of faith, to remind myself that gratitude has roots in memory. Lord, I thank you for the hidden mercies. I will never fully know the dangers I never faced because you intervened, the disappointments that became redirection, the unanswered prayers that were protection in disguise. There is so much I do not see, and yet I trust that nothing you do is wasted. Even the moments that seemed silent were filled with your unseen work. The path behind me glows with the quiet evidence of your compassion, and it gives me courage to walk forward. As the morning unfolds, help me to carry this remembrance into the rhythm of the day. When frustration tries to claim my attention, remind me of the peace you once gave me in chaos. When impatience grows, remind me of how long you waited for me to understand. When doubt whispers that I am alone, remind me of every rescue that began with your whisper of love. Let remembering become my shield against discouragement, my steady rhythm of hope. Father, I want to live a life that continually remembers. I want each breath to echo thankfulness for all you have done and all you continue to do. May my memory not serve regret, but renewal. May it not chain me to the past, but lift me toward faith for the future. Every time I recall your goodness, let new trust awaken inside me. Let gratitude deepen until it becomes second nature, until remembering replaces complaining, until joy replaces fear. I end this quiet moment not with demands, but with awe. You have been my provider, my healer, my redeemer, my comforter. You have clothed my soul with mercy and renewed my strength when it ran out. I am who I am today because you have never stopped being who you are. And as the sun climbs higher in the sky, I carry with me the song of remembrance. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Father, as my heart continues to remember your goodness, a quiet realization begins to rise within me. Gratitude has softened the edges of my worry, and remembrance has steadied my faith. Yet now, you are inviting me to take another step, one that feels both freeing and frightening at once. You are calling me to surrender, not to give up, but to let go, not to stop caring, but to stop carrying what was never mine to hold. Father, I sense your gentle whisper in this moment, reminding me that surrender is not defeat, it is trust made visible. It is choosing rest over striving, faith over control, peace over pressure. There is a part of me that still clings to outcomes. I try to fix, to plan, to predict, as if my effort could guarantee safety. I hold the pen too tightly, rewriting the story you already know how to finish. Yet the more I strive, the more wary I become, the more I grasp, the less I can receive. Father, you have shown me before that your plans unfold best in open hands. Still, it is not easy to loosen my grip. The human heart loves certainty, but you teach me that real faith often grows in mystery. And so, as the morning light expands through the window, I open my palms to you and whisper, "Here I am. I surrender this day, this hour, this breath." You see every weight I carry, the responsibilities, the silent fears, the unspoken hopes. You know how I try to hold everything together, even when I am unraveling inside. But you never asked me to hold it all. You asked me to walk with you. You asked me to let you lead. You asked me to trust that what is surrendered is never lost, only placed into hands far more capable than mine. Father, help me remember that surrender is not passive. It is the most active form of faith. It means believing that you are already working in the spaces I cannot reach, waving purpose from what I do not yet understand. I think of all the times I wore myself out trying to earn peace when you were offering it freely, the nights I lay awake replaying conversations, replaying failures, as if I could rewrite them with worry. But peace never came from control. It came when I finally whispered, "I cannot fix this, Lord, but I trust you can." It came when I chose to breathe instead of strive, to rest instead of run. I have learned that surrender does not mean silence. It means listening. It means letting you be God while I learn to be still. Father, teach me the rhythm of surrender in the small things, the interruptions I did not plan, the waiting I do not understand, the moments that test my patience. Let me practice yielding not because I am weak, but because I believe in your wisdom more than my own. When I start to rush ahead, slow me down with the reminder that your timing is not delayed but deliberate. When I start to question why, anchor me in the truth that your purpose is bigger than my perspective. I do not need to know every reason to trust your hand. Sometimes surrender feels like standing on the edge of uncertainty with eyes closed, stepping forward anyway because I believe you will catch me. And every time I have done that, you have proven yourself faithful. You have caught me when I fell. You have turned losses into lessons and detours into direction. You have shown me that even the paths I did not choose can still lead to blessing. So why do I still resist? Perhaps because my heart forgets that surrender is not the end of control, it is the beginning of peace. Father, help me live this day with less striving and more trust. When I am tempted to measure my worth by my productivity, remind me that I am loved before I accomplish anything. When I compare my journey to someone else's, remind me that your plans for me are not delayed, they are designed. When I feel pressure to have all the answers, remind me that faith does not require explanation, only obedience. Let surrender be my posture today, my quiet declaration that you are enough. Even when I do not understand the how or the when, you are the same God who rested after creation, not because you were tired, but because you were satisfied. Teach me to rest like that, to rest not in the absence of work, but in the assurance of your presence. Let me begin and end each task with a surrendered heart, trusting that you are guiding even my smallest steps. Let me see interruptions as invitations, and delays as detours towards something better. When my plans fall apart, help me not to panic but to pause, knowing that your plan has not failed. I release to you my need to prove myself, my fear of missing out, my obsession with control. I release the voices that tell me I am behind or not enough. I release the tendency to rush through the day without noticing the grace that surrounds me. I lay down the heavy illusion that everything depends on me, because it never did. You hold all things together, not me, not my effort, not my perfection. Father, remind me that surrender is not weakness, but wisdom, not resignation, but reverence. Let this be my morning practice, to rise and release, to lift my hands not in defeat, but in devotion, to breathe deeply and know that the air itself is a gift, a reminder that I am sustained by something beyond my control. Let surrender be my song today, soft but steady, rising with each step I take. And as I walk through the hours ahead, help me to see the beauty that comes when I stop striving. In the pause between tasks, in the silence between thoughts, in the stillness between breaths, there you are. Not demanding, not distant, but near enough to carry what I set down, near enough to turn what I surrender into strength, near enough to remind me that peace is not something I chase. It is something I receive when my hands are open and then my heart is quiet. Father, I begin this day not by trying harder, but by trusting deeper. I step into the unknown not with fear, but with faith. I choose to rest in what you are doing rather than wrestle for control. And in this surrender, I find something I have been searching for all along, not escape, but peace. The kind of peace that does not depend on perfect outcomes, but on a perfect love that never lets go. Father, as I continue walking through this quiet morning, I feel the peace that comes after surrender, like a calm ocean after a storm has passed. The stillness does not mean life has stopped moving. It means that I have finally found rhythm with you. In that rhythm, Father, you are teaching me that surrender is not the end of worship, but the beginning of deeper praise. When I let go of what I cannot control, my hands are free to rise in gratitude. When I release the noise, I can finally hear the melody you have been playing all along. Today, I want to live inside that melody. I want praise to become more than a moment. I want it to become the atmosphere around my soul. Father, I have learned that praise is not limited to the words I speak. It is the posture of my heart in every circumstance. When I complain, my world feels smaller. When I praise, it expands. When I choose worship over worry, even the same situations feel lighter. Not because they changed, but because my focus did. Praise lifts my gaze from what I lack to who you are. It reminds me that even if nothing else shifts today, you remain steady, good, and near. I want that awareness to fill every space I enter. I want praise to be the quiet fragrance I carry wherever I go. Lord, help me to understand that praise is not confined to perfect moments. It is not reserved for good news or easy days. True praise is born when the soul decides to glorify you even in the middle of uncertainty. It is not a reaction. It is a decision, and that decision changes everything. When I praise you, fear loses its voice. When I praise you, heaviness lifts. When I praise you, I feel the invisible walls around my heart begin to crumble. Praise is not decoration for faith, it is its foundation. It builds a home where peace can dwell, where joy can breathe, where hope can return. Father, let my praise today be sincere, not shaped by habit, but by love. Let it come not from obligation, but from awe. When I notice beauty in small things, the golden light on a leaf, the laughter of a child, the steady rhythm of my own heartbeat, let my soul whisper thank you. When I face interruptions, delays, or disappointments, let my lips still choose to say you are worthy. Let my heart find a way to worship even when my plans fall apart. Teach me to praise you not only with words, but with my patience, my kindness, and the way I respond to those around me. There are mornings, Father, when praise flows easily, when my spirit feels light and gratitude spills out without effort. But there are also mornings when praise feels like climbing uphill. On those days, remind me that worship offered through weakness is often the purest kind. When I sing through tears, that sound reaches heaven differently. When I praise you in the dark, the light begins to break through. So even if my voice trembles, I will lift it. Even if my heart feels heavy, I will choose to bless you. I will keep declaring that you are good, because you are not only good when life feels kind. You are good because goodness is your very nature. Father, fill the space around me with your presence until praise becomes my natural response to everything. Let it be the air my soul breathes, the background of every thought, the echo of every heartbeat. When worry tries to enter, let it find no room, because the atmosphere is already filled with worship. When negativity approaches, let it dissolve in the sound of gratitude. When doubt whispers, let praise answer first. I want my surroundings, my home, my words, my silence to be soaked in the awareness of who you are. Teach me to begin each task with thanksgiving, to carry peace into conversations, to bless others with the same calm that praise gives me. Let my tone reflect kindness even when I feel hurried. Let my presence remind people of hope without me needing to say a word. Let my praise be invisible yet powerful, transforming the air around me into something holy. For where gratitude grows, grace follows. Where worship rises, heaviness cannot stay. And where your name is lifted, light begins to bloom. Father, sometimes I forget that praise is not meant to be occasional, it is meant to be continual. It should flow like breath, natural and constant. Every inhale is a reminder of your provision. Every exhale, an act of release. Praise should not wait for Sunday mornings or quiet hours. It belongs in traffic, in routine, in the noise of daily life. It belongs in kitchens, offices, classrooms, and hallways. It belongs in laughter and in tears, in success and in failure. Because you, Lord, are not a part of my life. You are my life. You are present in every moment, and every moment deserves praise. So I ask, Father, make my spirit sensitive to your presence in all things. When I feel distant, remind me that you are closer than breath. When my attention drifts toward frustration, draw it back with the whisper of your name. Let that name fill every pause in my thoughts until worship becomes as effortless as breathing. Let my words, even unspoken, carry the fragrance of gratitude. Let my actions reveal the quiet confidence of one who walks with peace. And if this day brings challenges, let praise become my defense. When criticism stings, let thanksgiving answer instead of bitterness. When confusion clouds my mind, let worship clear it with light. When I am tempted to complain, let me remember that each complaint subtracts from joy, but each act of praise multiplies it. Let the choice to bless you become instinct, the way sunlight instinctively reaches for the horizon each morning. Father, this is my desire to live inside an atmosphere of praise so complete that it shapes my outlook, my emotions, my words, and even my silence. Let it be the rhythm that steadies me when the world wavers, the warmth that shields me when life feels cold. Let praise be the quiet language of my heart, unbroken, unending, flowing through everything I do. And as this morning deepens into day, let every breath become a continuation of this moment, a steady song of gratitude that fills the air with peace and turns the ordinary into holy ground. Father, as I linger in the still rhythm of praise, I begin to understand something deeper. True worship is not confined to mornings filled with light days that move smoothly without resistance. It is not dependent on circumstances aligning perfectly or emotions cooperating willingly. Praise is not a feeling, it is a choice, and that choice must be made in every season. Father, as my heart continues from the quiet gratitude of yesterday into the reality of today, teach me how to bless you not only when the sky is clear, but also when the clouds begin to gather. Help me to learn the beauty of constancy, to bless you at all times, because your goodness is not seasonal, and your presence is not conditional. There are days when my heart sings easily, when laughter feels natural, and gratitude flows without effort. But there are also days when praise feels like a battle, when I stand in the middle of disappointment and the melody seems far away. Yet, Father, you are the same in both. The God of the mountaintop is still God in the valley, The God of abundance is still God in the waiting. You do not change when my emotions do. You do not withdraw when I stumble. So this morning, I lift my voice again, not because everything feels certain, but because you are constant. I bless you not because life is perfect, but because you are holy. Teach me, Lord, to live with a heart that does not measure your worth by my comfort. I do not want to be someone who praises you only when prayers are answered quickly or when the path is smooth. I want to be someone who praises you through silence, through waiting, through storms that test my faith. Let my devotion not depend on ease, but on love. Let my praise rise even from broken places, because those are often the moments when worship becomes purest, when it costs something, when it is offered through tears, when it becomes an act of trust rather than triumph. Father, when the days stretch long and heavy, remind me that worship is a declaration, not a denial. It does not pretend that pain does not exist. It simply proclaims that pain is not the final truth. When I lift my eyes to you, I remember that suffering is temporary, but your love is eternal. When I bless you in sorrow, I am choosing faith over fear, hope over despair. I am aligning my spirit with heaven's perspective, that even now, goodness and mercy are pursuing me. Even now, your hand is guiding what I cannot yet see. Help me to remember that every season serves a purpose. The spring of renewal teaches me joy, but the winter of silence teaches me endurance. The summer of abundance reveals your generosity, but the autumn of letting go reminds me to trust. No moment is wasted when it is surrendered to you. Even the waiting seasons are filled with hidden work, like roots growing unseen beneath the soil. So when I feel buried, remind me that I am not forgotten. I am being prepared. Let praise become the lamp that burns quietly while I wait for the dawn. Father, when blessings overflow, keep me humble. Let gratitude guard me from pride, and when blessings seem scarce, keep me hopeful. Let faith guard me from despair. I want my praise to sound the same in both places, steady, anchored, sincere. Let my song not depend on the scenery, but on the truth that you are good and your mercy endures forever. Let the rhythm of my worship remain unchanged even when the tempo of life shifts. Let my soul learn to say, whether in sunlight or storm, my heart will bless the Lord at all times, and his praise will continually be in my mouth. There are moments when joy feels like wind, sudden, free, impossible to hold, and other moments when the air feels still and heavy. Yet in both, you are present. I want to learn to find you in the contrast, to bless you when doors open and when they close, to thank you when dreams are fulfilled and when they are delayed, to worship not just with victory in hand, but with trust still in progress. Because praise is not a reward for clarity. It is the act that brings clarity. It shifts my eyes from what is uncertain to the one who never changes. Father, sometimes my heart grows tired of waiting, tired of praying for things that seem far away. But even then, let my lips find a reason to bless you. When my plans crumble, remind me that your will is still intact. When I cannot see the next step, remind me that faith was never meant to be sight. Let me praise you in the hallway before the door opens. Let me sing in the middle of the story, before I know how it ends. Let my trust not depend on understanding, but on your unchanging heart. I want to live as someone whose praise is steady, whose faith is rooted, whose hope does not sway with emotion. Let my life speak this truth, that the same God who paints the sunrise is the same God who watches through the night. That you are worthy not because of what you give, but because of who you are. Let my worship rise like breath, natural and continuous, flowing through laughter and through tears alike. Father, I ask that you teach me to bring the same heart of praise into every season that comes. When joy fills the air, let me celebrate with humility. When sorrow visits, let me rest without fear. When uncertainty lingers, let me walk forward with quiet confidence. Let my faith not shrink in adversity, but deepen in it. Praise become the bridge between my weakness and your strength, between my questions and your peace. And as I step into the rest of this day, I carry this decision with me to bless you in all things, in small victories and unnoticed moments, in interruptions and in stillness. I will look for reasons to worship. Let this choice become a habit so deeply woven into me that no season can take it away. Let praise be the steady light that guides me through every change. A reminder that no matter the weather around me, the one I worship remains the same. Father, thank you that you are not only the God of beginnings, but the God of continuance. Thank you that you are not limited by my circumstances or swayed by my emotions. Thank you that in every season, whether bright or bleak, your love remains constant. Your mercy remains new, and your presence remains near. I choose to walk through this day with a heart anchored in that truth, whispering again and again through whatever comes, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, at all times, in all things, and in every season." Father, as I continue walking through the rhythm of praise that carries from one season to another, my heart finds comfort in knowing that you are not only the light above me, but also the solid ground beneath me. Praise lifts my eyes toward heaven, but faith keeps my steps steady on earth. And this morning, Father, as life unfolds once again with its familiar pace, I feel you reminding me to stand firm, to remember that my strength does not come from circumstance, emotion, or understanding, but from you, the unshakable foundation under my feet. There are days when the path feels uncertain, when the ground beneath me seems to tremble with unexpected change. In those moments, fear tries to convince me that I am standing on shifting sand. Yet every time I turn my heart toward you, I find the ground holds steady again. I remember that you are my rock, my refuge, my unmovable place of safety. The world may sway, seasons may turn, but your truth remains anchored. You are not fragile like the things I build around me. You are eternal, strong, and unchanging. When I plant my trust in you, I am no longer tossed by the winds of worry. Father, I confess that sometimes I forget this. I rely too heavily on things that look solid but are temporary: people, plans, successes, even my own wisdom. I lean on them as if they could carry the weight of my soul, and when they falter, I fall into fear. Yet every time I return to you, you remind me gently that stability was never meant to come from what is seen. It comes from knowing you, from believing that no storm can shake what you have built. You are the foundation that holds when everything else shifts. You are the calm center when everything around me spins. Lord, help me to stand on your promises like I would stand on stone. When my mind races, steady it with your truth. When my heart trembles, strengthen it with remembrance. When my feet stumble, set them again on solid ground. You have never failed to catch me when I have lost balance. You have never let me sink when I reached for you. You are my footing when I am weary, my balance when I am overwhelmed. Every time I lose my way, you bring me back to the firm foundation of your love. Father, let your word be the ground I walk upon today. When confusion clouds my thoughts, let Scripture guide my steps like a path through fog. When voices of fear grow loud, let your voice echo louder still, clear, certain. I want to walk through this day with confidence, not in my own strength, but in yours. I want to move not in haste, but in holy assurance that wherever you lead, I will not fall. Let my steps be rooted in grace, my choices grounded in peace, my pace aligned with your rhythm. There are moments, Lord, when the world feels fragile, when news, change, and loss make it seem as if nothing is secure. But even then, you remain the same. You are the mountain that does not crumble, the fortress that cannot be breached. When the storms of fear rise, you are the high ground that keeps me safe when waves crash and voices shout. You are the stillness that cannot be drowned out. I do not have to be fearless to stand firm. I simply have to remember where I stand. Father, teach me to recognize the difference between control and confidence. Control exhausts me because it depends on my effort. Confidence strengthens me because it depends on your power. When I build my plans without you, they crumble under pressure. But when I build on you, even the smallest things endure. So today, I choose to stand not on shifting goals or temporary comfort, but on your eternal truth. You are my foundation in the morning and my shelter at night. You are the bedrock of my hope, and that hope will not erode with time. Lord, when I face moments of weakness, let me remember that stability is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of faith. It is the quiet knowing that even when I tremble, the rock beneath me does not. It is the courage to take one more step because I trust the ground beneath my feet is strong. Remind me that your strength is not distant. It rises through me when I lean on you. Every time I falter, you are the reason I stand again. Father, I also pray for those whose ground feels broken today, for hearts grieving, for minds clouded with anxiety, for lives shaken by loss. Let them find you as the rock beneath their pain. Let them feel your stability even when everything else collapses. Help me be a reflection of that steadiness to others, not through words alone, but through the calm that comes from resting in you. Let my peace be evidence of your presence. Let my steadiness be a quiet testimony that my life is anchored in something far greater than myself. When I walk through today's challenges, let me remember that faith is not measured by how high I climb, but by how firmly I stand. Let me be unshaken not because I am strong, but because you are. Let me face opposition with gentleness, uncertainty with patience, and setbacks with courage. Let my confidence be rooted not in what I can predict, but in the one who holds every outcome in his hands. And when the evening comes, let me look back and see footprints of trust, evidence that even when I stumbled, you kept me steady. Father, thank you for being the foundation that holds through every storm. Thank you that I do not walk on unstable ground, even when life feels uncertain. Thank you for being the rock that has never cracked under the weight of my questions, the refuge that has never closed its doors. As I step forward, let every movement come from the assurance that you are beneath me, holding me, supporting me, keeping me safe. And so, I walk into this day with peace. I walk knowing that no matter what awaits me, my footing is secure. The world may shift, circumstances may bend, but the rock beneath me remains the same. You, Lord, are my foundation, my stability, my strength, and my song. With every step I take, I carry the quiet confidence that I am standing on holy ground, sustained by the unshakable presence of the one who never fails. Father, as I rest in the truth that you are the rock beneath my feet, my heart begins to remember the many times I stood not on solid ground, but in sinking places. You were there then too when my footing was lost, when the shadows felt endless, when my prayers were only whispers of exhaustion. Father, I remember the pit you lifted me from, the depths where hope was faint, where every breath felt like a burden instead of a gift. Yet you came into that darkness, not to judge, but to rescue. You placed your hands where I could not reach. You pulled me from the mud of fear and guilt, and you set me upon firm ground. The memory of that mercy still humbles me, and even now it becomes the beginning of a new song rising within me. I have known what it feels like to be trapped by despair, to believe that change will never come, to think that joy has ended. But you, Father, never left me there. You did not wait for me to climb out by my own strength. You entered the pit and carried me up. You lifted me not only out of circumstance, but out of shame, out of the lie that I was beyond redemption. Your love reached deeper than my fall, and your grace raised me higher than I ever imagined I could stand. The same hands that shaped the mountains became the hands that pulled me from my own ruins. That is why I sing today, not because life is flawless, but because freedom is real. Lord, I thank you that every rescue story becomes a song. You have turned my lament into melody, my silence into praise. Once I could only speak from brokenness. Now I speak from renewal. The pain did not disappear, but it transformed into testimony. The same valley that once echoed my cries now carries the sound of gratitude. This is what you do. Father, you turn pits into altars, tears into rivers of grace, despair into instruments of praise. You do not waste my sorrow. Use it to teach my heart how to sing again. Father, sometimes I still feel traces of that old weight, the pull of memories that once defined me. But even those reminders become opportunities to praise you. For every time I remember the darkness, I also remember the light that followed. Every scar is a line in the song you wrote over my life. Every failure that once shamed me has become a verse declaring your mercy. I used to hide my broken places, but now I see how they shine when your light touches them. What once silenced me now gives me reason to sing louder. Lord, I want to live as someone who never forgets what it means to be lifted. Let me carry humility with my gratitude. Let me remember that deliverance is not a one-time miracle, but a daily grace. You are still lifting me, still restoring me, still teaching me to walk in freedom. The pit may have been deep, but your faithfulness was deeper still. The rescue was not only an event, it was the beginning of transformation. Each day that I choose joy, each moment that I forgive, each breath that I release fear is another step upon the rock you set beneath me. Father, help me to sing the new song you placed in my mouth. Let it not be hidden or quieted by doubt. Let it rise with honesty and courage, not as performance but as offering. When I speak of your goodness, let it not sound rehearsed. Let it sound remembered. When I praise you, let it not be with borrowed words, but with words shaped by the memory of rescue. I want my life itself to sing a melody woven through my choices, my conversations, my compassion. Let the people I meet hear the echo of redemption in the way I listen, the way I forgive, the way I love. There are others still sitting in their own pits. Father, hearts trapped in despair, minds tangled in shame, souls believing they are beyond saving. Let my song reach them. Let my story remind them that you still lift, still heal, still renew. Give me the courage to share not just my victories, but the valleys that came before them. Let me speak of darkness without fear, because I know how light entered it. Let me carry the sound of hope into places that have forgotten how to dream. And when my words fall short, let my presence itself carry the fragrance of grace. Father, I realize that every new song is also a call to others. It is not meant to be sung alone. As you lift one heart, you inspire another to rise. As you free one soul, you begin a chorus of redemption. Let me be part of that chorus. Let me harmonize with others who have been rescued, creating a symphony of gratitude that reaches beyond walls, beyond differences, beyond fear. Where the world hears noise, let heaven hear unity, many voices. One praise, one testimony. You are good. And Lord, when new challenges come, and they always will help me not to forget that I already know what it means to be lifted. When I stumble again, remind me that falling is not failure when grace is near. When I find myself in shadows, remind me that I have walked through darker valleys and found you faithful there. Let me never mistake temporary descent for permanent defeat, for you have already proven that there is no pit too deep for your rescue, no silence too heavy for your song. Father, as this day unfolds, let my heart keep singing quietly within me. Let every step sound like gratitude against the ground. Let the rhythm of redemption guide my actions, reminding me that I stand where mercy placed me. Even if no one else hears it, let the heavens know that I am still singing. Because once I was lost, but now I am found. Once I was silent, but now I have a song. Once I was buried, but now I am alive, lifted from the pit by hands that never grow weary, set on the rock of love that will never crumble, and filled with a song that will never fade. Father, as the new song of gratitude continues to echo in my heart, I feel it settling into something steady, a rhythm that moves with each sunrise. The song that began as a whisper in the pit now rises as a daily devotion. You did not lift me so I could sing once and fall silent again. You lifted me so I could live in continual praise. Father, you are teaching me that worship is not an occasional act, but a daily habit, an unbroken conversation that weaves through everything I do. The mornings I wake early, the afternoons filled with noise, the evenings when exhaustion arrives, each of these moments carries the invitation to exalt you. There was a time when I thought praise was something I had to feel, something reserved for grand moments or spiritual highs. But now I see that praise is a decision, a choice renewed with each breath. It does not depend on emotion. It grows from awareness. Every time I pause to recognize your presence, I am exalting you. Every time I choose to see your fingerprints in the details of the day, I am lifting you higher in my heart. Father, teach me to live this way, to wake each morning and remember that the day is not mine to rush through, but yours to inhabit with gratitude. As I begin this day, I want to carry praise like a pulse that never stops. Let it beat quietly beneath every word, every action, every thought. Let my mornings begin with acknowledgement, my afternoons hum with reflection, and my nights close in peace. I do not want my worship to be limited to prayers spoken aloud. I want it to flow in the unseen moments, the way I speak gently, the way I forgive quickly, the way I wait without resentment. Let every part of my life become a continuation of the same exaltation that began at dawn. Father, you are worthy of praise not once a week, not once a season, but every single day. Each day brings a new reason to bless you, because each day carries a new mercy I did not earn. Some mornings the reasons are obvious: answered prayers, healing, provision. Other mornings they are quieter: the strength to get up again, the peace that meets me before worry does, the patience to keep walking when the path feels long. These mercies might go unnoticed if not for gratitude. So today, Lord, I choose to see them, to name them, to thank you for each one. When I forget to exalt you, my heart begins to drift toward distraction. The world becomes louder, and my soul feels smaller. But when I return to praise, everything realigns, and anxiety loses its weight, confusion loses its grip, and even ordinary tasks feel meaningful again. I realize now that daily exaltation is not for your benefit, it is for mine. It keeps my heart alive and my spirit awake. It keeps me tethered to what is eternal in a world that constantly changes. Father, let me not reserve exaltation for moments of revelation. Let it be the breath of my ordinary days. Lord, when the routine feels heavy, remind me that worship can turn it holy. Folding laundry, driving to work, answering messages, preparing meals, each of these moments can become a small altar when offered with awareness. You meet me not only in sacred spaces, but in ordinary places. When I exalt you through gratitude, even the simplest act becomes radiant with purpose. So let me not wait for silence or stillness to find you. Let me find you in motion, in noise, in repetition, and let each repetition become a quiet hymn of thanks. Father, I also pray that my daily exaltation would influence the people around me. Let my peace speak louder than my words. Let the way I carry myself reveal who I stand with. I do not need to force faith into conversations when my life already sings it. Let others feel your kindness through my calm, your joy through my contentment, your hope through my patience. Let my days become small reflections of the bigger truth that life rooted in you does not waver with circumstances, but flows steadily with grace. Sometimes, Lord, my days blur together. The clock turns, the tasks repeat, and I begin to forget that life itself is holy. Yet even in repetition, you are present. Every morning I rise, you rise with me. Every night I rest, you guard me. There has never been a single day untouched by your hand. Let that awareness guide my routine. Let each sunrise remind me that I am still a witness of your mercy, and each sunset remind me that I have one more day to love well. Father, help me create small rhythms of praise within my day. Let me begin each morning by breathing in gratitude and releasing anxiety. Let me pause at midday to reflect on your faithfulness, even in small things. Let me close the evening not in regret, but in remembrance. Teach me to mark time not by deadlines, but by devotion. I want to measure my day not by what I achieve, but by how much I recognized you within it. There will be days when I forget, when distraction steals my focus and worry dulls my gratitude. But even then, you remain patient. You wait for me to notice again, to look up, to whisper another hallelujah into the noise. And when I do, peace returns like a familiar friend. It reminds me that exaltation is never far away, it is always one breath, one thought, one thank you away. Father, I ask that this habit of daily exaltation become as natural as breathing, as necessary as water, as constant as light. Let it shape my perspective so deeply that even pain cannot erase it. Let it remind me that worship is not what I do when life feels easy, it is what sustains me when life feels hard. It is the reminder that no matter what changes, you remain worthy. As I walk through this day, let every sound, every sight, every encounter draw my heart upward. Let gratitude be the music I carry through crowded rooms and quiet spaces alike. Let my faith be visible, not through perfection, but through persistence, the steady choice to bless you again and again, day after day. And when the evening comes, Father, let my last thoughts mirror my first ones, a heart turned toward you, a soul still singing, a life still exalting the one who has never failed. For you are the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I will bless your name not just in moments of clarity, but through the ordinary rhythm of days that you have filled with mercy and grace beyond measure. Father, as my heart continues in the rhythm of daily exaltation, I begin to understand something deeper, that praise was never meant to stay silent. It is not only a private act between you and me, it is a living testimony that ripples outward. Father, you have done so much in my life that it would be impossible to count it all. Yet how often I keep those stories hidden, tucked away in quiet gratitude, instead of sharing them to strengthen another soul. Today, I feel you urging me to let my joy speak, to allow my testimony to breathe. For what you have done for me was never meant to stay contained within me. When I look back, I see how every trial became a story of your faithfulness. Every unanswered prayer that later made sense. Every disappointment that turned direction. Every tear that became a seed of something new. These are the treasures you have woven through my journey, and now they shine more clearly than ever. Father, you remind me that testimony is not about perfection, it is about redemption. It is not about showing strength, but about revealing how weakness met grace. I once thought that my broken moments disqualified me from being a witness. But now I see that those very moments are what make the story worth telling. Lord, I remember when I had no joy left, when life felt like repetition without meaning, yet you restored joy not as a flash of emotion, but as a steady flame. You placed laughter back into days that had forgotten how to smile. You turned weariness into quiet wonder, not by removing the weight, but by teaching me to dance under it. That is the miracle I carry, not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose within it. Father, you have shown me that joy is not shallow happiness. It is deep gratitude that cannot be stolen by circumstance. It is the steady assurance that you are near, even when nothing else feels certain. Help me, Father, to live as someone whose life tells your story. Let my words, actions, and choices bear witness to your goodness without me having to announce it. Let the peace in my demeanor, the patience in my tone, and the hope in my attitude become silent testimonies that point to you. Teach me to speak not with rehearsed eloquence, but with honest remembrance. Let my testimony be gentle yet firm, humble yet bold, real yet radiant. When I talk about what you have done, let me not glorify the pain, but magnify the healing. Let me not dwell on the storm, but on the hand that calmed it. Father, I pray that joy would overflow from me into others. Let it not stop at my lips, but spread through every interaction. There are people around me who carry silent burdens, some too heavy to name. I may never know their stories, but you do. Use my joy as a quiet light that reminds them that hope still exists, that grace is still moving. Let my laughter carry compassion, not pride. Let my happiness not be shallow celebration, but deep contentment rooted in faith. Let my joy reflect the truth that even when life is uncertain, you remain unshaken. There are times, Lord, when sharing my story feels risky, the fear of being misunderstood, judged, or dismissed lingers in the back of my mind. Yet you remind me that testimony is not about convincing, it is about confessing. I am not responsible for outcomes, only obedience. When I speak of your faithfulness, I plant seeds that you water in your timing. Some may bloom instantly, others may lie dormant until their own storm comes. And then my story will echo as a reminder that deliverance is real. Help me trust that no word of praise ever falls to the ground unused. Father, teach me to see joy as both gift and responsibility. You did not give it so I could keep it hidden. You gave it so I could share it. Let it show even on difficult days. Not as denial, but as defiance, proof that darkness cannot win. When I face hardship again, remind me that the same God who gave me a song before will do it again. My past testimonies are not old stories. They are promises fulfilled, and they stand as evidence for the faith I need now. You have not changed, and that truth alone is reason enough to rejoice. Lord, sometimes I meet people who ask where my peace comes from. They see calm when chaos should have taken over, or hope when logic would suggest despair. Let me never take that as my own strength. Let me always answer quietly, but clearly it comes from you. The peace they notice is not mine. It is borrowed from your presence. The joy they sense is not from circumstance. It is born from your goodness. The strength they admire is not self-made. It is grace at work. Let me never take credit for what only you could do. Father, help me remember that testimony is not only spoken in words, but lived in consistency. The world listens more to actions than to declarations, so let me be faithful in small things. Let me serve with humility, speak with kindness, forgive with sincerity, and love without condition. Let my daily living become a visible hymn that others can read even if they never open a Bible. Let my faith be something they can feel, not because I preach it, but because I embody it. And when joy seems distant again, as it sometimes will, let me return to remembrance. Let me recall the moments when you turned mourning into movement, tears into teaching, silence into song. Let me revisit the landmarks of grace that line my journey, each one a reminder that joy can be reborn again and again. The well never runs dry. It only waits for me to draw from it. Father, as I go through this day, let my life declare what my words cannot fully express. Let joy be my testimony and gratitude my language. Let others see through me not a perfect person, but a redeemed soul, a life rebuilt on grace. One whose happiness flows not from what it has, but from who it knows. Let the song you placed in my heart never fade into background noise, but grow stronger with time, deepened by experience, brightened by hope, and grounded in truth. And as this day unfolds, let me remember that joy shared multiplies, that testimony told strengthens, and that every moment lived with you is another verse in the story you are writing. May my life, Lord, be that story, a continuous song of redemption, echoing quietly through the world, carrying your light from heart to heart, and whispering to every weary soul that joy is still possible, that grace is still working, and that you are still good. Father, as I continue from the joy of testimony that fills my heart, I sense you drawing me even deeper into the mystery of worship. My small voice, lifted in daily praise, begins to find its place within something far greater than myself. Father, you remind me that worship is not a solo act, but a harmony that echoes across eternity. Every time I lift my heart to thank you, I join a chorus that never stops, singing a heavenly sound that began long before I was born and will continue long after my final breath. Today, I want to become more aware of that eternal music, to feel the rhythm of heaven pulsing through the quiet moments of my day. Lord, I imagine that sound, the worship that fills heaven. Countless voices, every nation and tongue, singing not because of what they have received, but because of who you are. The angels cry out, Holy, 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 and the elders bow in reverence, casting down their crowns before your throne. Their worship is not duty, it is delight. It is the overflowing response of creation to the Creator. And here I am, a small soul on this spinning earth, yet invited into that same divine harmony. It humbles me to think that my whisper of praise, fragile and flawed as it may be, is heard by you as part of heaven's unending song. Father, sometimes I forget that worship unites heaven and earth. It breaks the boundaries of time and space. When I worship you here in my small corner of the world, I am not alone. I am standing alongside millions who have come before me, the saints who sang in prisons, in deserts, in exile, in victory. Their songs still live in the air of eternity, and mine now joins theirs. Worship has always been the language of the redeemed, the response of those who know they have been rescued. And so, even in the quiet morning, as sunlight spills across the room, I lift my heart to sing again, not to be heard by others, but to join what heaven is already declaring. Lord, I think of how easily I can get lost in the noise of this world. There are so many competing voices, opinions, distractions, responsibilities that sometimes I forget to listen for the sound of heaven. Yet when I pause, even for a moment, the silence begins to sing. It is as if the whole of creation holds its breath, waiting for me to remember that everything, every tree, every breeze, every heartbeat is a note in your eternal composition. The sound of worship is woven into the world itself. The heavens declare your glory. The oceans roar with it. The mountains echo it. And when I join that sound, I step back into alignment with what is true, with what is eternal. Father, you did not create me just to survive the days. You created me to glorify you in them. When my praise joins heaven's chorus, I am reminded that my life is part of something infinitely larger. My worries shrink, my perspective widens, and my soul remembers that you reign above all. I am not just a witness of your creation. I am a participant in its song. You give me breath not only to live but to praise, and in that praise I find purpose again. Sometimes, Lord, my voice feels small compared to the vastness of the world. My words stumble, my songs falter, my prayers come slowly. Yet you do not measure the volume of worship, but its truth. Even a quiet heart that chooses gratitude becomes a melody in your ears. The widow's whisper, the prisoner's hum, the child's laughter all are music to you when offered with sincerity. Teach me to worship like that, to bring what I have, however simple, and trust that you will weave it into something beautiful. Father, I thank you that worship is not confined to grand cathedrals or sacred gatherings. It can happen anywhere: a whispered prayer in the morning light, a grateful sigh during the day, a tear that turns into trust at night. Every act of love, every word of kindness, every moment of patience can become an offering of praise when done with awareness of you. When I forgive, I echo the mercy of heaven. When I choose compassion over anger, I harmonize with grace. When I speak hope into despair, I mirror the song of redemption. This is what it means to join heaven as chorus, to let my ordinary life become an instrument of worship. Lord, help me to keep that awareness alive as I walk through today. When the day grows busy, let me hear the quiet rhythm of heaven beneath the noise. When discouragement tries to silence me, remind me that heaven never stops singing. Even in moments of loss or loneliness, there is still a song being sung over me, the song, your faithfulness. Steady and sure, your word says that you rejoice over your children with singing. What a thought, Father, that even while I struggle to lift my own voice, you are already singing love back over me. Father, I ask that my life would become more than words of praise. Let it be music in motion. Let my choices sound like harmony, my compassion like melody, my faith like rhythm. When I speak, let my tone reflect peace. When I work, let diligence be my worship. When I rest, let gratitude fill the quiet. Every breath, every heartbeat, every step can be part of this holy symphony when it is offered to you. I do not need perfection to praise you. I only need presence, and when I am present, I find that you are too always, already, endlessly. Lord, I know that one day, all of creation will join this chorus fully. Every tongue will confess, every knee will bow, and every voice will rise in unified praise. But until that day, I want to live as if it has already begun. Let my song be practice for eternity. Let my worship today be a preview of that glory. Let me carry the sound of heaven wherever I go, a sound of peace in conflict, of faith in uncertainty, of joy in the midst of sorrow. Father, as the morning stretches into day, let me remember that heaven's song has no end. Let it echo through my thoughts, hum beneath my conversations, and fill the space between one task and the next. When I lose focus, draw me back to the music. When I feel alone, remind me that heaven is singing too. And as my small voice joins theirs, let my soul find rest in this truth that I am part of something eternal, a melody sustained by your love, carried on the wind of grace, and destined never to fade. Father, as the melody of heaven still hums softly within me, I wake again to the tender truth that each dawn carries its own grace. Yesterday's song may have faded with the evening light, but this morning you write a new verse, fresh, undeserved, and filled with mercy. Father, the air feels different when I remember that nothing from yesterday can cancel the compassion you renew today. Your mercy is not recycled or leftover. It is new, alive, and personal for this very moment. As the first light spills gently into my room, I feel it touching not only the earth, but also the corners of my heart that grew tired in the night. You are teaching me that the morning is not simply the start of another day. It is a declaration that grace begins again. Sometimes I wake carrying fragments of yesterday's worries. They cling like shadows that the sunrise must chase away. But you, Father, never greet me with condemnation. You meet me with kindness. When I come to you weary from mistakes, you do not replay them. You release them. When I arrive anxious about what I cannot control, you whisper peace that steadies my breath. You never tire of forgiving, never grow weary of mending. You do not wait for me to earn your favor. You remind me that mercy was already waiting before I opened my eyes. Each new day becomes proof that redemption is not an event from the past. It is a living reality that renews with every sunrise. Father, I am learning that mercy is more than forgiveness. It is restoration. It does not simply erase the wrong, but restores what was lost in the process. Your mercy takes the broken pieces of my heart and arranges them into something beautiful again. It turns failure into wisdom, wounds into compassion, endings into beginnings. And just as the morning light reveals what the night tried to hide, your mercy reveals that I am never beyond hope. No matter how far I wander, the dawn always finds me, reminding me that grace travels faster than regret. There are days when I wake already exhausted, when the weight of routine feels heavy before the day even begins. On those mornings, Father, remind me that I do not walk into recycled mercy. I walk into new strength. You are not a God of repetition, but of renewal. You do not offer leftovers from yesterday's compassion. You pour out something fresh, fitting the needs of this very day. Your mercy adjusts to the seasons of my heart. It comforts when I am wounded, challenges when I am stagnant, and uplifts when I am low. Every sunrise is your gentle announcement that you have not finished working in me. Father, teach me to begin each morning not with rush, but with remembrance. Let me not reach first for my to-do list or the weight of unfinished things. Let me reach first for gratitude for the breath that fills my lungs, the light that returns faithfully, and the mercy that meets me before I move a single step. Even before I speak, let my soul acknowledge this truth. I am already loved, already forgiven, already held. The day ahead may bring pressure, but mercy will go before me. The hours may bring surprises, but grace will meet each one. Lord, help me see the beauty of renewal in simple things, the way dew clings to the grass as if the earth itself has been baptized overnight, the way the horizon glows as if creation is worshiping with light. These are small reminders that you are constantly making all things new. And if you do this for the world, how much more will you do it for me? Let me mirror that rhythm of renewal. Let me forgive quickly, release easily, and begin again often. Let me not carry yesterday's burdens into today's sunrise. Father, I confess that I sometimes expect mercy only when I am desperate. But you remind me that mercy is not an emergency supply, is daily bread. I need it in small ways as much as I do in great ones. I need it when I speak too sharply, when I fail to notice someone's pain, when I choose hurry over kindness. In these ordinary failings, your mercy quietly restores me. It does not scold. It reshapes. It does not shame. It softens. It meets me exactly where I am and gently turns me toward where I should be. That is the quiet miracle of morning grace. It meets the ordinary heart in extraordinary ways. Lord, I want to carry this awareness into the day. When I meet others who stumble, let me extend to them the same mercy that found me here at dawn. Let me remember that I am not the only one beginning again. Everyone I encounter is fighting battles I cannot see, longing for mercy of their own. Help me to become an echo of your compassion, to respond with gentleness where the world expects judgment, to offer patience where frustration comes easily. Let the renewal you gave me flow outward through my words and actions. Let others feel lighter simply because I remembered your kindness. There will be moments, Father, when I forget, when I fall back into worry. self-criticism, or doubt. Yet even then, your mercy will not fade. It does not depend on my memory. It depends on your nature. When I am faithless, you remain faithful. When I am weary, you remain patient. You do not withhold mercy to teach lessons. You give it to help me learn grace. So even if I fail again today, I will not run from you, I will run to you. Because I know now that there is no night too long, no mistake too deep, no heart too scarred for the sunrise of your compassion to reach. Father, thank you that this morning is more than time moving forward, is love renewing itself. It is a reminder that the story of grace never ends. It only begins again. You are not merely the God of second chances. You are the God of unending beginnings. Each dawn is another verse in the Song of Mercy, and today I choose to sing along. I rise not carrying the weight of what was, but the wonder of what can still be. And as I step into this day, let me breathe slowly and remember, this is new. This hour has never existed before, and neither have I in this exact way. The sun that warms my face is the same one you hung in the sky, yet it shines differently every morning, just as your love reaches me differently each time I wake. Let that awareness stay with me, shaping how I think, how I move, how I love. Let this day become proof that mercy truly is new, every morning limitless, gentle, and alive in every breath I take. Father, as I breathe in the freshness of your new mercies this morning, I feel strength awakening within me. The peace that comes from knowing I am forgiven also brings courage. Mercy does not make me passive, it prepares me to stand. Father, as the world awakens and the day begins to move, I sense that you are calling me not just to receive grace, but to walk in authority through it. For every day holds its own battles, some seen, some unseen, and you remind me that my response to those battles is not fear, not retreat, but praise. Today, I step into this truth. Praise is not a reaction after victory. It is the weapon that brings it. Lord, so often I have faced opposition feeling unprepared. The worries that creep into my thoughts, the doubts that whisper through the quiet, the heaviness that tries to settle before the day has even begun. These are battles of the unseen. Yet you have already provided a weapon for me, not made of anger or resistance, but of worship. Praise silences fear because it shifts my focus. It reminds me that the power does not lie in what stands against me, but in the one who stands with me. When I lift my voice to honor you, darkness loses its influence. When I bless your name, confusion begins to clear. When I sing of your goodness, anxiety loses its grip. Father, I do not fight with weapons of this world. I do not argue with shadows or chase after control. My strength is not in noise or defense, it is in the quiet power of trust. Praise is my declaration that you reign even when I do not yet see the outcome. It is how I remind my soul that the story has already been written, and it ends in victory. Every hallelujah becomes a sword in the spirit, cutting through despair and fear. Every word of gratitude builds a fortress around my mind. Worship does not deny the existence of struggle. It redefines it. It declares that even in battle, I am not the victim, I am the beloved child of the King. Father, I remember times when I felt overwhelmed, moments when discouragement seemed louder than faith. Yet even then, you taught me the secret: when my voice trembles, I can still whisper praise. That whisper is powerful because it is honest. It may not be loud, but it is real, and heaven hears it. You showed me that victory often begins in stillness, not in striving. It begins when I stop fighting with my hands and start fighting with my heart. When I choose to thank you instead of complaining, peace rushes in like a shield. When I choose to worship instead of worry, the weight begins to lift. The atmosphere changes not because the battle is gone, but because your presence has filled the space. Lord, I want to live with that awareness all day long. Every challenge I face, whether it is frustration, temptation, or fear, can come an altar if I choose to respond with praise. Help me to turn every pressure into a prayer, every setback into a song. Let gratitude rise faster than complaint. Let worship become my instinct, not my last resort. When I face criticism, let me respond with grace. When I meet uncertainty, let me declare your faithfulness. When I feel weak, let me remember that your strength is perfected in my weakness. Praise does not wait for comfort. It creates courage. It is not the echo of victory. It is the sound that summons it. Father, I know there will be days when the battle feels fierce. There will be moments when fear tries to return, when disappointment feels heavy, when hope flickers. But even then, I will remember that you are not asking me to be fearless. You are asking me to be faithful. You are not demanding noise. You are inviting trust. I do not need to shout to win, I need to believe. And belief sounds like praise. It sounds like a steady heart saying, "You are still good." It sounds like a tired voice whispering, "You are still here." It sounds like a trembling soul choosing to sing instead of surrender. Father, teach me to use praise wisely, not as a ritual but as a rhythm. Let it guard my thoughts when negativity knocks. Let it strengthen my spirit when fatigue sets in. Let it surround my home, my work, my conversations with peace. Praise changes the environment. It softens hard hearts, lifts weary spirits, and ushers in hope. Even when others do not understand it, praise carries its own quiet authority. It breaks invisible chains. It silences lies. It restores perspective. Because when I worship, I align with truth, and truth always wins. Lord, I remember that even in Scripture, your people fought with songs. The walls of Jericho fell not from force, but from faith expressed through praise. Paul and Silas sang in prison, and freedom came not through effort, but through worship. Their song was not denial. It was defiance, a declaration that light still reigns in darkness. Let that same spirit fill me today. When situations seem locked or hearts seem cold, let my worship shake what I cannot move. When fear builds walls, let my praise become the sound that brings them down. Father, let this truth sink deep into my soul. Praise is not dependent on how I feel, but on who you are. You are worthy on the mountaintop and in the valley. You are worthy when I understand and when I do not. You are worthy when I have much and when I have little. My circumstances do not determine your glory. They only reveal new ways to see it. So today, I choose to fight with joy, to battle with thanksgiving, to stand with confidence that I am never outnumbered, because you go before me. Lord, when I walk through this day, let my steps sound like peace. Let my tone reflect trust. Let my words carry life instead of fear. Let the atmosphere around me shift, because I remember who my defender is. I do not fight for victory. I fight from it. The cross was the final battle, and love already won. My worship is simply my reminder of that truth. Father, thank you for teaching me that praise is both shield and sword, both refuge and weapon. It protects my heart while it breaks down strongholds. It keeps me soft when life tries to harden me. It keeps me centered when chaos swirls around me. As I step forward into this day, I do not go unarmed. I go clothed in worship, surrounded by peace, strengthened by grace. And when the evening comes and I look back at all the moments that tried to steal my calm, I will see evidence of your victory in the smallest details. I will remember that every time I chose to praise instead of panic. Heaven moved. I will rest knowing that the battles fought with faith are the ones that always end in peace. Let that peace remain with me now, quiet and sure, as the lasting song of one who knows that praise is not only my worship, it is my warfare, and through it I always overcome. Father, as I carry the truth of praise as warfare into this new morning, I remember that the battles we fight do not always begin in daylight. Many begin in the quiet hours of the night, those moments when sleep feels distant and the mind grows heavy with thoughts too deep to silence. Father, you know those nights when shadows stretch longer than they should, when the soul aches for peace, when the heart wrestles with what it cannot change. And yet, even in those dark hours, you are still present. You are the same God who fills the morning sky with light, the same God who walks into prisons and breaks chains with songs of freedom. As the world still sleeps, you remind me that victory does not wait for sunrise, it begins in surrender. Even in the midnight hour, there have been nights, Lord, when I felt trapped within my own thoughts, when fear whispered louder than faith and silence felt like a storm. In those moments, I discovered something sacred. Chains often break in the dark. You are not afraid of my midnight seasons. You do not leave when joy fades or when prayers feel unanswered. You come quietly, not always to remove the night, but to fill it with your presence. You meet me where I am, not with rebuke, but with reassurance. You teach me that worship in the night carries a different kind of power, is raw, honest, and unfiltered. It does not depend on feeling. It depends on faith. Father, you remind me through the story of Paul and Silas that even prison walls cannot silence praise. They sang while shackled, not because they were comfortable, but because they were convinced that you were still worthy. Their voices rose in defiance of despair, and heaven responded. Chains fell. Doors opened, and hearts were set free, not only theirs, but also those who heard them. Their worship turned captivity into breakthrough. Lord, that is the kind of praise I want to carry, the kind that sings through struggle, that believes in freedom before it sees it, that chooses trust over fear, even when surrounded by darkness. Sometimes, Father, The night feels like it will never end. Worry circles the mind like a restless tide. And every thought feels heavier than the last. But you whisper gently that even the darkest night must yield to morning. The same hand that holds the stars steady also holds my soul. You remind me that chains are not always made of iron. Sometimes they are invisible regret, shame, bitterness, fear. Yet every one of them trembles at the sound of your name. When I lift my voice, even quietly, those chains begin to lose their grip. Freedom does not arrive with noise. It arrives with presence. You step into the stillness and turn it holy. Lord, when the night feels endless, teach me to worship my way through it. When the room is quiet, but my heart is loud, let my first instinct be to speak your truth aloud. Let me remember that prayer is not wasted breath. It is a spark that ignites hope. When tears fall like rain, let them become a rhythm of worship instead of despair. Let me find the courage to sing softly in the dark, not to escape it, but to invite you into it. Because when you enter the night, it cannot stay the same. Father, I know that not every prison is physical. Sometimes it is the prison of doubt, the cell of disappointment, the cage of comparison. These are the battles fought behind calm faces and polite smiles. Yet you see what others cannot. You walk into those hidden places and begin unlocking what I thought was permanent. You remind me that no lock is too strong, no gate too high, no heart too hardened for your freedom to enter. You are not limited by time, space, or circumstance. You work in silence, and you work in song. You deliver in daylight, and you deliver in darkness. Help me, Lord, to stop fearing the night and start trusting its purpose. You use it to strengthen faith, to teach endurance, to shape gratitude. The night makes me listen differently, pray differently, depend differently. It strips away distractions until only your voice remains. And in that stillness, I learn that peace is not the absence of struggle, but the awareness of your nearness. You do not simply end the night. You transform it into a meeting place. Father, let my worship become stronger than my worry. Let my praise be louder than my pain, even if only in the quiet of my spirit. When I cannot sleep, let me remember that every hour awake is another opportunity to speak your promises into the darkness. Let my whispered prayers become light beams that reach beyond my own needs to touch others who are also awake, waiting for hope to arrive. Let my faith rise like incense, unseen yet powerful, filling the unseen places with fragrance that heaven recognizes. There are those, Lord, who are sitting in their own midnight, right now hearts burdened, minds weary, spirits chained by fear or grief. I lift them to you. Let your presence invade their night like the first breath of dawn. Let them feel chains loosen, not because circumstances change instantly, but because they realize you are already there with them. Let them find rest not in escape, but in encounter. Let them sense freedom blooming quietly where despair once lived. Father, when my morning comes, let me not forget what I learned in the night. Let me remember that even the darkest hour was filled with your light in ways my eyes could not see. Let me carry the strength that was forged in those moments into the day ahead. Let me walk with compassion for others still in the night, offering them the same comfort that carried me through. The faith that grew in the dark becomes the light I now carry forward. And so, Lord, as dawn begins to stretch across the horizon, I thank you that no chain is too strong for your love, no night too long for your mercy, no silence too deep for your song. The same power that raised Jesus from the grave lives within me, breaking every chain that tries to hold me down. I rise this morning not as a captive, but as someone set free to hope, free to love, free to sing. Let my life today be evidence of that freedom. Let every word I speak, every choice I make, every kindness I show become a continuation of that midnight song, a quiet anthem that reminds the world that light always wins. And even if another night comes, I will not fear it, for I have learned that the chains which once bound me have become instruments of praise. I will keep singing in the dark until the dawn breaks again. For you, Father, are faithful in every hour, and your light never fails to find me. Father, as the memory of freedom still lingers from the night you broke my chains, my heart wakes this morning with deeper trust. The dawn feels softer, not because the world has changed, but because I now see more clearly that you are both my provider and my protector, Jehovah Jireh and Jehovah Nissi. Father, your presence is not only the comfort that rescues me from darkness, it is also the strength that guides me through the light. You do not just free me, you sustain me. You do not just defend me, you lead me forward with victory already written into every step. There are days when I still wonder how everything will come together, when needs outnumber resources, when the path ahead seems uncertain, when responsibilities weigh heavy like stones I cannot lift. Yet even in those moments, you remind me that provision is not a distant promise. It is your daily reality. You are Jehovah Jireh, the God who sees ahead and prepares before I even know what to ask for. You were there before the question formed in my heart, arranging the answer in quiet corners I have yet to discover. What I perceive as lack is often only the space you leave open for a miracle to arrive. Father, help me to rest in that truth when my mind races to control outcomes. Teach me to pause and remember how you have always provided. You fed the Israelites in the desert not because they deserved it, but because you loved them. You sent water from a rock, manna from heaven, and even in their complaints, you did not abandon them. You are still that same God, unchanged by time, unshaken by need. You do not provide reluctantly, abundantly. Sometimes your provision looks like a door opening. Sometimes it looks like strength to wait until it does. Either way, you never fail. Lord, I confess that sometimes I mistake provision for possession. I look at what I have and forget that it all comes from you. Yet everything I hold is borrowed grace, entrusted to me so I might reflect your generosity. Teach me to handle blessings with open hands, not clenched fists. Let me be a vessel that gives freely because I trust that you will fill again. Provision loses its beauty when I hoard it in fear, but it multiplies when I share it in faith. Remind me that you are not a God of scarcity. You are the endless source from which all things flow. Father, You are also Jehovah Nissi, the Lord my banner. You do not only provide for me, you fight for me. You go before me into battles I cannot see. You lift a banner of victory over my life that no enemy can erase. There have been moments when I felt surrounded by opposition, disappointment, misunderstanding, temptation, doubt, but even then, your banner was already raised high. The victory did not depend on my ability to win. It depended on your faithfulness to stand. Under that banner, I find peace. Under that banner, I find courage. Under that banner, I remember that no weapon formed against me can prevail, because the battle has already been claimed by your love. Lord, I want to live today with the awareness that you are both Jair and Nissi, my provider and my defender. When uncertainty comes, let me look up, not around. When fear whispers, let me remember the banner that waves above my life. It does not read defeat. It reads deliverance. It is not a symbol of struggle, but of salvation. When I stand beneath that truth, I do not need to prove my strength. I only need to trust yours. Father, you have shown me that provision and protection often work together. You provide so that I can walk forward, and you protect so that I can walk without fear. Sometimes your provision is unseen, a conversation that leads to opportunity, a delay that prevents harm, a closed door that redirects me to something better. Sometimes your protection is quiet peace that guards my heart when circumstances try to stir chaos. Clarity that comes when confusion tries to settle in. You are never late, never absent, never uncertain. You see every detail, even the ones I overlook. Help me, Lord, to live with confidence instead of anxiety when needs arise. Remind me that my supply does not depend on the economy or circumstance, but on your unchanging promise. When conflict appears, remind me that I am not defenseless, for you are my shield and song. When my energy fades, remind me that your strength is never depleted. I can face this day not as someone trying to survive, but as someone already sustained. The table you set before me is not empty. It overflows. The path you lead me on is not random. It is righteous. The God who provides my bread also protects my peace. Father, I also pray for those who are walking through scarcity, those who feel unseen, those who wonder if you have forgotten their prayers. Let your provision reach them in ways that remind them you are near. Use me, if you will, to be part of that answer. Let me carry your generosity into the lives of others, not out of obligation, but out of overflow. And for those facing battles too heavy to fight alone, be their banner. Lift their heads when fear presses down. Surround them with the assurance that you are not just watching from afar, you are standing beside them, mighty in power, gentle in love. Lord, thank you for the countless ways you reveal yourself as Jair and Nissi in my life. Thank you for meeting needs I never voiced, for protecting me from dangers I never knew existed, for fighting battles in silence while I slept in peace. You are the God who works while I wait, who gives when I least expect, who guards when I feel exposed. I stand here this morning because your hand never withdrew, because your banner never fell, because your love never stopped providing. And as I step into the hours ahead, I carry this certainty with me. Every moment has already been prepared, every challenge already accounted for, every battle already won. I walk not under fear but under favor, not in striving but in sufficiency. You, Father, are Jehovah Jireh, who sees what I cannot, and Jehovah Nissi, who stands where I cannot. Let my heart stay lifted beneath your banner. Let my hands remain open to your provision, and let my soul rest knowing that in every need and every battle, you are enough. Father, as I rest beneath the banner of your provision and protection, I feel my heart begin to slow. The world around me is stirring, filled with motion and noise. But inside, you invite me to a quieter rhythm, the rhythm of trust. Father, you remind me that faith is not always about movement. Sometimes it is about stillness, just as a shepherd leads his sheep beside still waters. You call me to rest where your peace flows steady and sure. After every battle and every victory, you do not send me running into the next demand. You draw me closer to the calm that restores my soul. Father, the still waters are not the absence of trouble. They are the presence of trust. The world will never stop moving, but you teach me that peace is found not in control, but in surrender. You remind me that trust is not passive, it is a holy confidence that whispers, "You are enough." I do not need to rush ahead or look behind. I only need to be here, in this moment, knowing you are with me. The same hands that provided my bread and lifted my banner now guide me into rest. You do not hurry my healing. You complete it in your time. There are days, Lord, when my mind feels like a river in flood, rushing with worry, swirling with questions, carrying the debris of yesterday's fears. Yet when I come to you, the current slows. You do not scold me for being restless. You simply speak peace. One word from you is enough to quiet the storm within. When you say, "Be still," the waters obey. You do not demand silence as punishment, but as protection. You know that anxiety cannot breathe where peace resides. So you lead me beside still waters, not to escape the world, but to see it clearly again. Father, help me to remember that stillness is not weakness. The world teaches me to keep moving, to chase, to prove, to perform. But you teach me that trust often looks like waiting. It is not an activity, it is alignment. It is the quiet strength of believing that you are working, even when I cannot see it. When I resist the urge to control, I make space for your hands to move. When I choose rest over panic, I invite your spirit to restore. Stillness does not mean I have given up. It means I have given in to your wisdom, to your timing, to your way. Lord, I remember the times you have met me in stillness, when decisions pressed heavily and I had no clarity. You answered not with noise, but with calm conviction. When doors closed and I stood in confusion, you whispered that not all closed paths are failures, some are redirections. When exhaustion left me feeling empty, you reminded me that stillness is not empty space, it is sacred space. It is where you refill what life has drained. It is where the shepherd tends to his sheep, binding wounds, restoring strength, preparing them for what lies ahead. Father, sometimes I fear stillness because it exposes what I have avoided. In silence, I hear my own heart, and not all its sounds are peaceful, but you are patient with my restlessness. You meet me there too, not with condemnation but with compassion. You let the still waters reflect what is true, not to shame me but to heal me. You show me where pride has built walls, where fear has taken root, where I have trusted outcomes more than your character. And gently, you invite me to let go. Every release becomes relief. Every surrender becomes freedom. Teach me, Lord, to sit by the waters long enough to hear your voice again. I do not want to live my days in constant motion, mistaking activity for progress. I want to learn the art of holy stillness, the kind that listens, the kind that breathes, the kind that knows you are God. Let the quiet moments become my training ground for faith. Let every pause remind me that you are working in ways unseen. Let me find peace not after the noise fades, but even while it hums around me. Because true peace is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of you. Father, I think of how even Jesus withdrew to quiet places to pray. Though surrounded by crowds and demands, he still sought solitude with you. He did not see rest as optional but essential. If the Son of God needed stillness to stay aligned with your will, how much more do I? Lead me to those quiet places, not always in physical solitude, but in spiritual posture. Even in the middle of my responsibilities, let my soul remain unshaken. Let me walk through chaos with calm, speak truth with gentleness, and make decisions with clarity born of peace. There are moments, Lord, when I feel unsteady again, when circumstances stir the water and I can no longer see the reflection of your promises. In those times, remind me that still waters do not mean shallow ones. Beneath the calm surface flows deep strength. Your peace is not fragile, it is fierce. It does not depend on external calm, but internal confidence. It anchors me when everything else shifts. It teaches me that I do not have to feel in control to be safe. You are the current beneath the surface, steady and sure, carrying me forward even when I appear still. Father, as I sit in this morning's quiet, I can almost feel that current, the soft pull of your spirit, reminding me to trust again. The air feels different here, clean and weightless, as if the worries that clung to me have dissolved in your presence. The to-do lists and expectations that once shouted now whisper, and even their whispers begin to fade. Here, I remember that life is not sustained by effort alone, but by grace. I do not have to earn what you freely give. I do not have to prove what you have already promised. So today, Lord, let me carry this stillness wherever I go. When the day grows noisy, let my heart remain quiet inside. When people rush around me, let my spirit stay rooted in peace. When problems arise, let me remember the still waters and return to them in prayer. Let this calm become my compass, guiding me back whenever I drift into fear or frustration. Let my trust in you become unshakable, not loud, not proud, but steady like the river that never stops flowing. Father, you are Jehovah Jireh, who provides every need, and Jehovah Nissi, who defends every battle. But you are also the shepherd who restores every soul. You lead me not only to victory, but to rest. You do not rush me through life. You walk with me through it. And as I rise from this stillness, I realize that peace is not something I visit. It is the place where you dwell. Let my life, then, become a reflection of those still waters, calm in the storm, deep in faith, clear in purpose, and always flowing toward you. Father, as I rise from the still waters where my soul has been restored, I feel your quiet invitation calling me to move again, but not in haste, not in my own strength, but in obedience. Father, the peace you placed within me was never meant to keep me idle. It was meant to prepare me to walk in step with you. From rest comes readiness, and from trust comes obedience. You do not rush me forward. You guide me one step at a time, asking not for perfection, but for willingness. I sense that this is where faith becomes more than belief. It becomes movement, one quiet yes at a time. Lord, obedience often begins in small things, but those small things shape the story of my life. It is in the gentle nudge to forgive when it feels undeserved, in the quiet conviction to speak kindness instead of criticism, in the courage to do what is right even when it is unseen. Father, you remind me that obedience is not about control, but about communion. It is not submission to rules. It is agreement with love. When I obey, I am not losing freedom, I am walking into it. Each step of obedience breaks a chain of self-will and replaces it with the joy of alignment. Sometimes, Father, obedience feels simple when the path is clear, but other times, it feels like walking through fog. I do not always understand where you are leading, and my heart wrestles between trust and doubt. Yet you whisper that understanding is not the requirement. Trust is. You ask me to move when I cannot see the whole picture, because faith grows not by sight, but by surrender. The path of obedience is rarely straight, but it is always safe, for it is guided by your hand. I may not know the outcome, but I know the one who writes, and that is enough. Father, there have been moments when I hesitated to obey because fear disguised itself as wisdom. I told myself I was waiting for clarity, when in truth, I was waiting for comfort. But you remind me that obedience often precedes understanding. Noah built the ark before rain existed. Abraham left his home before he knew his destination. Mary said yes before she knew how. Each act of obedience became a doorway to miracle. You do not demand blind following. You invite faithful walking. Each step is a lesson, each delay a refining, each surrender a seed that will bloom in time. Lord, teach me to see obedience not as burden, but as blessing. When you call me to forgive, you are freeing me from bitterness. When you lead me to give, you are releasing me from fear of lack. When you ask me to wait, you are protecting me from premature endings. Every command carries kindness. Even when it feels heavy, you are not testing me to expose weakness. You are training me to discover strength. Obedience is not about earning favor. It is about remaining close enough to hear your heart. Father, there are times when my obedience will not make sense to others. The world celebrates independence. But you call me to dependence, not weakness, but divine partnership. The world values control, but you ask me to let go. The world measures success by outcome, but you measure it by faithfulness. So help me, Lord, to obey even when it costs me approval, even when it means walking alone, even when it requires silence, when I would rather speak. Let me remember that I am not following a rule, I am following a voice, and that voice leads only to life. Lord, help me discern that obedience is not only about action. It is also about attitude. I can do the right thing with the wrong heart, and it becomes empty. But when I obey with love, even the smallest act becomes sacred. Let my obedience be joyful, not forced, willing, not wary. Let it be a melody, not a march. I do not want to obey out of fear of punishment, but out of gratitude for relationship. When I choose your will, I am not losing mine. I am aligning it with something greater, something eternal. Father, there are moments when obedience requires letting go of what I thought I needed. It asks me to release comfort, security, or familiarity in exchange for purpose. It teaches me to trade certainty for calling. And though it feels costly, I have never walked away from obedience and regretted it every time I said yes to you. Even trembling, I found peace waiting on the other side. Every sacrifice revealed itself not as loss, but as investment and offering that always returned multiplied in grace. Lord, I pray for the courage to obey quickly. Delay often disguises itself as caution. But, Father, as I continue from the path of obedience, I realize that obedience and faith are inseparable. To obey you fully is to trust you completely, even when the way ahead is uncertain. And trust, Father, is often tested in fire. You never promised that the road of faith would be smooth, but you did promise that it would be worth it. This morning, as the light of dawn brushes the earth, I feel you calling me to a deeper faith, a faith that endures, not because it avoids fire, but because it learns to shine through it. Father, I have come to understand that faith is not forged in comfort, but in challenge. It grows not when everything is easy, but when everything feels impossible. It is in those moments of pressure, pain, and waiting that faith becomes refined. You are not a God who wastes suffering. You are the refiner who uses it to purify. Just as gold loses its impurities in the fire, so does my heart lose fear, pride, and doubt when it passes through trials. The flames that once frightened me are not meant to destroy me, they are meant to define me. Lord, when I look back, I see how you have always been faithful in the fire. The seasons that once felt unbearable were the ones that shaped me most. You used heartbreak to teach compassion, delay to cultivate patience, and disappointment to build endurance. You took what was meant to break me and turned it into strength. Every time I thought I had reached my limit, your grace extended it. Every time I felt alone in the heat, I later saw that you were standing beside me, steady as ever, whispering that refining is not rejection, it is preparation. Father, sometimes I still resist the fire. My human heart wants comfort more than character, relief more than refinement. I ask you to take the trial away instead of asking what you want to reveal through it. But you are patient, never forcing, always forming. You remind me that fire does not come to punish, but to purify. The purpose of the flame is not pain, but transformation. You see the gold beneath the surface and will not stop until it shines. that truth changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" I can ask, "What are you making in me through this?" Lord, you know how easily I forget that faith is a process. Like metal in a furnace, it must go through stages: melting, molding, cooling, each one necessary, each one purposeful. When I feel the intensity of the heat, remind me that you are watching closely, never too near to burn me, never too far to leave me. You control the temperature. You decide the duration. You know exactly how much I can bear. And when you see your reflection in me, you lift me from the fire, renewed, refined, restored. Father, I think of those before me who walked through their own refining flames. Abraham on the mountain with the son he loved, Joseph in the prison waiting for promise, Daniel in the lion's den surrounded by darkness yet untouched by fear. None of them escaped the fire, but all of them encountered you in it. Their faith was not proven by avoidance, but by endurance. And the same God who sustained them sustains me now. The same hands that closed the mouths of lions still guard my life. The same Spirit that strengthened them now breathes within me. There are days, Lord, when the refining feels endless, when prayers seem unanswered, when dreams appear delayed, when silence feels heavier than words. In those moments, teach me to see the hidden work. Faith is often formed in the quiet, when nothing seems to move, but everything is being prepared. Help me to remember that roots grow in the dark before fruit appears in the light. You are not ignoring me. You are investing in me. Every delay carries design. Every hardship holds a lesson. Every scar tells a story of survival turned into strength. Father, give me courage to stay in the fire until the work is finished. Do not let me run from the process out of fear of the pain. Help me to trust that what you are burning away is not meant to harm me, but to free me. Burn away the need for control, the fear of failure, the pride of independence. Melt down my impatience and forge in its place a steady trust. Replace frustration with faith, resistance with rest, and despair with hope. Let the fire that once frightened me become the warmth that draws me closer to you. Lord, help me to remember that even Jesus walked through the fire of obedience. He endured suffering not because he deserved it, but because he trusted you completely. The cross was his furnace, yet from that pain came redemption. If you could bring resurrection from the greatest sorrow, then surely you can bring renewal from mine. Let that truth steady me when trials come again. Let it remind me that faith does not grow in avoidance, but in abiding. The flames may surround me, but they cannot consume me, for you are within me. Father, I pray also for those who are in their own fires now, those who cannot yet see the purpose in their pain, who feel lost in the heat of waiting. Cover them with your peace. Let them know that the fire will not last forever, and that the one who holds them is faithful. Give them glimpses of your goodness, even in the hardest days. Let their faith not crumble but crystallize. Turn their fear into fuel, their tears into testimony, their weakness into worship. As this day unfolds, let me walk with the awareness that refinement is not a season to endure, but a sacred process to embrace. You are not just testing my faith, you are strengthening it. You are teaching me to depend, to trust, to persevere. You are shaping me into someone who reflects your light, not through perfection, but through perseverance. When I step into challenges, let me do so not with dread, but with quiet confidence that you are already there. When I emerge from the fire, let others see not the ashes of what was lost, but the glow of what remains unshaken, unburned, unwavering. Father, thank you that the fire never defines me. It refines me. What I once feared has become my proving ground, where faith finds its depth and love finds its strength. I will not shrink from the heat, for I know the one who walks with me in it. The same flames that could destroy now purify. The same pain that once crushed now creates purpose. Let that truth stay alive in me today, burning not with fear but with faith, until every trace of doubt gives way to the steady glow of trust. Father, as my heart reflects on the refining fire that shaped my faith, I realize that some lessons cannot be learned on mountaintops, but only in valleys. Father, you never promised that life with you would be without struggle. You promised that I would never face it alone. The fire refines, but the valley reveals. It shows what remains after the testing, what roots are strong enough to hold, what trust runs deep enough to sustain. Today, as I continue this journey, I feel you calling me not away from the valley, but through it, not to escape the shadows, but to discover your light within them. Lord, there are moments when valleys feel endless. The air grows still, the road feels heavy, and silence seems louder than words. In those places, faith no longer feels like triumph. It feels like endurance. The songs I once sang with ease now come out as whispers. Yet even the quiet H of uncertainty, you are present. You do not rush me through this place. You walk beside me. I sense your steady pace matching mine, patient and sure, reminding me that valleys are not evidence of abandonment. They are proof of intimacy. Only those you love deeply did you lead so closely. Father, I have often tried to avoid these low places, believing that joy is only found in sunlight. But now I see that even the valley has its beauty. Here, pride loses its power. Distractions fade, and dependence becomes real. The valley humbles me until my heart bends low enough to touch grace again. It strips away illusions of strength until all that remains is the quiet assurance that you are enough. It is here, in this quiet terrain, that I learn to trust you not for what you do, but for who you are. Sometimes, Father, the valley feels like a contradiction. It holds both pain and purpose, loss and love, silence and song. Yet you have always worked in such paradoxes. You bring life from death, beauty from ashes, joy from mourning. The valley is not my punishment, it is my passage. Teaches me that hope is not a feeling, but a decision. It invites me to keep walking even when I cannot see the next turn, to keep believing even when the outcome is unclear. The promise of the valley is not escape, but encounter the meeting of my weakness with your strength. Lord, I think of the psalmist's words, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Shadows can only exist where there is light. The presence of the shadow means the presence of the sun somewhere nearby. Even when the valley feels dark, the light has not gone. It is simply hidden behind the hills. Teach me to walk by faith, not by sight. Let me feel for your presence when my eyes cannot find you. Let my steps be guided not by fear of the unknown, but by trust in the unseen. Father, there are times when the valley takes me through grief, loss of what was, loss of who I thought I was becoming. Yet even grief becomes sacred when it is held in your hands. You do not rush my healing. You hold it tenderly. You let the tears fall freely, not to weaken me, but to cleanse me. Each tear becomes a seed, and in time, what was sorrow will grow into compassion. The valley does not steal joy, it deepens it. Because once I have known what it means to walk in darkness with you, the light becomes even more precious when it returns. Lord, help me to remember that valleys are not lifeless. Even here, there are streams flowing quietly, flowers blooming against the odds, and the gentle hum of life that continues unseen. Hope lives here too, not in loud declarations, but in quiet persistence. It is the choice to rise each morning and keep walking, one prayer at a time. It is the steady heartbeat of faith that refuses to stop, even when tired. It is knowing that the valley has an end, because every journey with you does. What feels like wandering is often direction in disguise. Father, I know that others walk through their own valleys. Right now, some through illness, others through loss, others through waiting that feels endless. I lift them to you. Let them sense your nearness, even when silence surrounds them. Remind them that the valley is not where stories end. It is where faith is written. Let their hearts feel the warmth of your presence, even when the night is long. Let them find strength not by escaping pain, but by discovering purpose in it. You are the shepherd who never leaves his sheep, even in the shadowed paths. Lord, I have learned that the valley teaches a kind of faith that comfort never could. On the mountain, I celebrate what you have done, but in the valley, I discover who you truly are. You are not only the God of victory, but the God of perseverance. You are not just the light at the end. You are the lamp along the way. You are not the absence of trouble. You are the presence that steadies me through it. So even here, I will choose gratitude not for the hardship itself, but for the holiness it brings. For every step taken in faith builds endurance, and every valley crossed becomes a testimony. Father, as I keep walking, I begin to notice that the air feels lighter. The shadows do not seem as long. The ground that once felt barren now reveals traces of life, tiny buds of hope pushing through the soil. The same valley that once felt like a place of endings begins to look like a place of beginnings. And I realize that every valley eventually leads upward, not because I climb faster, but because you lift me higher. My pace may be slow, but your grace is steady. My eyes may still carry tears, but they also carry light. So, Lord, let this valley not be wasted. Let it teach me humility that endures, compassion that listens, patience that waits, and faith that walks even when it cannot see. Let me leave footprints of hope here for those who will walk after me. Let them find encouragement in my perseverance and evidence of your faithfulness in my journey. And when I finally reach the other side, Let me not forget the lessons learned in the low places, the sacred strength born in surrender, the beauty discovered in brokenness, and the deep peace that comes from walking with you, even through the valley. Father, as I emerge from the valley where you walked beside me, I feel a new strength quietly unfolding within my spirit. The air feels lighter, not because the road has grown easier, but because my heart has grown deeper. Father, you have carried me through shadows and refining fires, through still waters and silent nights. And now you whisper of something new, the anointing of renewal. It is not a new beginning born from forgetting the past, but one that flows from transformation. You are not replacing what was broken. You are renewing it, restoring it, redeeming it until it reflects your beauty once more. Father, I have learned that renewal does not come through escape, but through encounter. It is the moment when weary hands find strength again, when a tired soul feels life breathe softly back into it. You are the God who makes all things new, not by erasing their history, but by giving them holy purpose. The valley did not strip me, it prepared me. The trials did not diminish me, they deepened me. And now, as morning light touches the edges of my heart, I sense the oil of renewal being poured out not just to heal what hurt, but to commission what is next. Lord, there is something sacred about the way you renew. You do not rush it or force it. Renewal, like dawn, begins quietly. It starts with gratitude that turns wounds into wisdom, and ends with vision that turns sorrow into strength. You touch the places that once felt barren and call life to rise again. You speak to the parts of me that thought their season was over and whisper, I am not done. That whisper is enough to wake sleeping dreams, to revive faith that once trembled, to remind me that nothing in your hands is wasted. Father, sometimes I thought renewal would mean returning to how things used to be. But you have shown me that restoration does not mean repetition, it means resurrection. You are not bringing me back to who I was. You are bringing me forward into who I was meant to be. The cracks in my soul have become channels for grace to flow. The scars that once told stories of defeat now tell stories of deliverance. Where I once saw ruin, I now see roots. Where I once saw endings, I now see beginnings written in invisible ink. Lord, as you pour your renewing oil over my life, I feel its gentle weight and anointing that is both soothing and strengthening. It seeps into weary places, calming the echoes of yesterday's pain, while awakening courage for tomorrow's calling. This renewal is not a gift of comfort alone. It is a call to purpose. You restore not only my heart, but my assignment. You refill what was poured out so I can pour again, this time with greater compassion, deeper faith, and steadier peace. Renewal is not about feeling refreshed, it is about being redefined. Father, I want to walk in that anointing today. Let every step I take carry the fragrance of someone who has been renewed by your Spirit. Let my words carry gentleness shaped by grace, and my actions flow with the quiet confidence of one who has been made whole. I do not want to live as though I barely survived the valley. I want to live as one transformed by it. Renewal has turned endurance into empathy and pain into purpose. Let that transformation shine through everything I touch. Lord, I remember the olive tree, how it produces oil only after it is pressed. The crushing is not cruelty. It is preparation for anointing. You have pressed me, yes, but not to break me, to release what was hidden within. What I thought was loss was actually refining. What I feared was ending was simply making room for your abundance. Now, as you pour your oil upon my spirit, I realize it is not just for me. It is meant to flow outward, touching others with the same mercy that touched me. Renewal always multiplies. It never remains contained. Father, help me to carry this newness with humility. Renewal does not make me superior. It makes me softer. It does not elevate me above others. It places me among them with compassion that understands. Let me become a living testimony of restoration, quiet but undeniable. Let others see not perfection but peace, not strength without struggle, but hope that survived it. Let them sense through my life that you are the God who rebuilds, not just what was lost, but what was never fully lived. Lord, I ask that you continue to renew not only my strength, but also my perspective. Teach me to see the world with eyes washed by grace. Let me notice the beauty in ordinary moments, the sacred in small things, the divine in daily life. Renewal changes how I see everything. It turns impatience into awareness, routine into worship, breath into prayer. Let me walk through this day with that kind of awareness, seeing not just what is before me, but what you are doing beneath it. Father, I pray also for those who stand where I once stood, tired, unsure, waiting for renewal to come. Let them know that new beginnings do not arrive with thunder, but with tenderness. Whisper to them, as you did to me, that this is not the end, only the in-between where miracles take their shape. Remind them that even when everything feels spent, your spirit never runs dry. The same oil that healed yesterday will anoint tomorrow. The same grace that carried them through will carry them forward. Lord, I am beginning to see that renewal is not a single moment, but a continual movement. It is the rhythm of dying to self and rising again in you, the cycle of surrender that leads to life. Every morning, you renew the sky, repainting it with color. Every sunrise declares that your mercy has begun again. So too does my heart awaken each day to your renewing spirit, washed clean of yesterday's worry and ready for today's wonder. Let this awareness never fade. Father, as I step into this day, I do so not as someone merely restored, but as someone renewed, refreshed in vision, strengthened in purpose, alive in gratitude. The oil of your presence covers me like morning light, subtle but steady, marking me as yours. The valley behind me no longer carries fear, it carries faith. The journey ahead no longer feels daunting, it feels divine. For you, Father, are not only the God who delivers, but the God who renews. You make all things new again and again, morning after morning, life after life, breath after breath. Father, as I continue from the renewal that your Spirit has poured into my life, I sense the gentle yet undeniable call to walk forward with intention. Renewal is never meant to end in stillness. It leads to purpose. Father, you did not restore me simply to make me feel whole again. You renewed me so that I could walk in the work you prepared long before I ever drew breath. The morning light that shines today feels different it carries direction. It is not just another sunrise. It is a reminder that this life, my life, is not random but designed. You did not create me to drift through the days. You created me to live them deliberately, walking in step with your divine purpose. Lord, purpose is not something I must invent. It is something I must discover. It does not come from striving, but from staying close to you. The more I seek you, the more I understand that purpose is less about doing and more about being faithful, being loving, being available. Father, you are not looking for perfection, but for willingness. You do not measure success by how much I accomplish, but by how closely I walk with you while doing it. My calling is not found in comparison, but in connection. The path of purpose begins where pride ends, where my will bends gently toward yours. Father, I have learned that walking in purpose does not mean understanding every step. It means trusting the one who directs them. You rarely show the entire path at once. You show me enough light for the next step, knowing that faith grows best when I walk without fear of the unknown. You call me to live one obedient moment at a time, believing that each small act of faith leads to a greater design I cannot yet see. The world often says to chase dreams, but you remind me to chase obedience. In obedience, dreams find meaning. In purpose, life finds peace. There were seasons, Lord, when I tried to define my worth by achievement. I thought purpose meant prominence, that I needed to be seen to matter. But you gently corrected that illusion. You showed me that true purpose is often quiet, found in unseen acts of kindness, whispered prayers for others, patient endurance through difficulty. It is in the conversations that heal, the forgiveness that frees, the faithfulness that endures without applause. You measure significance not by size but by sincerity. Purpose is not something I announce. It is something I embody. Father, sometimes I feel unqualified for what you ask of me. I look at my weaknesses, my past mistakes, my inadequacies, and wonder if I am enough. But you remind me that purpose has never depended on perfection. You chose imperfect people to accomplish perfect plans. Moses stuttered. David stumbled. Peter doubted, yet you used each of them powerfully because they said yes when it mattered most. It is not ability you seek, it is availability. When I surrender my limitations to you, they become instruments of grace. My weakness does not disqualify me. It becomes the very place where your strength is revealed. Lord, as I walk in purpose, teach me to stay grounded in humility. Let me never confuse calling with control. Purpose is not ownership. It is stewardship. What you place in my hands belongs to you. My gifts are not for my glory, but for the good of others. My talents are not trophies. They are tools. Let me serve without seeking recognition, love without expecting return, and give without counting the cost. When my heart stays anchored in gratitude, purpose flows freely. The moment I begin to grasp at it, it slips away. For divine purpose cannot be forced, it must be followed. Father, I have seen how purpose and peace walk hand in hand. When I walk in alignment with your will, even challenges carry calm. Obstacles no longer feel like punishment. They feel like preparation. Every delay, every detour, every difficulty becomes part of the path. You waste nothing, even my failures. When surrendered, become threads in the tapestry of purpose. You weave them into something beautiful, something that would not exist without the pain that shaped it. I begin to see that purpose is not always about progress forward. Sometimes it is about depth within. You care more about who I am becoming than where I am going. Lord, there are days when purpose feels unclear, when I wonder if I am still walking in the right direction. In those moments, remind me that you guide through peace, not pressure. The world pushes, but you lead. When confusion clouds my heart, still me enough to hear your whisper. Remind me that your silence is not absence, it is trust. You know that faith matures in waiting. You are shaping my vision so that when the next door opens, I will walk through it not out of impulse, but out of intimacy. You are never late in revealing purpose because you never lose sight of it. Father, I want to live every day with open hands and a steady heart. I do not want to chase purpose as a destination, but to live it as a journey. Let me find joy in the present, knowing that purpose is being fulfilled even in small things, every word spoken with kindness, every task done with integrity, every prayer whispered in faith. Let me remember that walking in purpose does not require a stage. It requires surrender. The light of calling shines brightest when I stop trying to outshine others and simply reflect you, Lord. I also pray for those searching for their purpose, those who wake wondering if their lives matter, if their efforts have meaning. Remind them that their worth was never tied to productivity, but to identity. They are loved before they are useful, chosen before they are capable. Purpose begins not with doing, but with belonging. Let them find peace in knowing that the same God who sets stars in motion has placed intention within their lives, even in ordinary days. You are doing extraordinary things through hearts willing to say yes. Father, as I close this moment of prayer, I feel a quiet assurance settling in. The same God who renews the morning renews my direction. You are writing purpose into every breath I take, weaving meaning into every detail of this day. Whether I walk through joy or challenge, stillness or movement, I do not walk aimlessly. I walk with you. In purpose. On purpose. The valley behind me has become my foundation, the renewal within me my strength, and your calling before me my compass. Each step now belongs to you. Let my journey today reflect that truth, that life lived in divine purpose is not hurried, not fearful, not self-driven, but held gently in the rhythm of grace, walking hand in hand with its Creator. Father, as I continue from the place where you have called me to walk in purpose, I feel the quiet rhythm of your presence shaping every step. The purpose you have placed within me is not a single moment, but a continual and unfolding, a living conversation between my will and yours. Father, you have shown me that walking in divine purpose is not about reaching a destination, but learning to carry your presence wherever I go. It is to live awake, to move with intention, and to let love guide every decision. Purpose is not something I possess. It is something I partner with you to fulfill, one obedient act at a time. Lord, I sense that purpose matures in the daily, not the dramatic. It is hidden in the patience of small beginnings, in the faithfulness of unseen work, in the humility of quiet service. The world celebrates visible success, but you delight in consistent surrender. You remind me that the greatest impact is often invisible, the kindness that softens a heart, the word that lifts a soul, the prayer whispered in solitude that ripples into eternity. Father, help me to see the sacred in the ordinary and to never underestimate the weight of a single act done in love. Father, as I walk in purpose, I realize it is not always easy. There are days when clarity fades, when motivation weakens, when discouragement whispers that my steps do not matter. Yet even then, you walk beside me, reminding me that faithfulness is greater than fame. You do not ask me to perform. You ask me to persevere. You are not seeking achievement but alignment. When I align with you, even my smallest steps hold eternal meaning. The harvest may not always appear in my lifetime, but every seed sown in faith will find its season in your timing. Lord, I know now that purpose is not a burden, but a blessing. It does not weigh me down. It lifts me into meaning. It does not demand perfection. It invites participation. When I walk in step with you, I am not striving, I am flowing. You turn effort into ease, pressure into peace, and routine into revelation. Each day becomes a canvas for your will to unfold. Even when I do not see the full picture, I can trust that your brush never slips. You are painting purpose into my life stroke by stroke, blending moments of joy and pain into something beautiful and whole. Father, you have also taught me that purpose is never solitary. It is not meant to be walked alone. My calling connects with others, weaving together like threads in a grand design I cannot fully see. You use relationships to refine, teach, and strengthen me. The people I meet are not accidents, they are assignments. Some challenge me to grow. Others comfort me in weakness, and many mirror aspects of your character that I could not learn on my own. Teach me to honor each person you bring across my path, seeing them not as interruptions, but as divine intersections. Lord, I have come to understand that walking in purpose requires both courage and compassion. Courage to say yes when obedience costs comfort, and compassion to love even when it is not returned. You never promised that purpose would be easy, but you promised that it would be worth it. You remind me that the path of calling is not about applause, but about authenticity, not about being right in the eyes of the world, but being true in the heart of faith. Let my steps remain steady when distractions call me away, when comparison tries to steal my peace, when impatience tempts me to rush what you are still writing. Father, purpose without presence becomes performance, and I never want to live apart from your presence. Let my doing always flow from being. Before I act, remind me to abide. Before I speak, remind me to listen. Before I move, remind me to rest in you. The strength to fulfill my purpose does not come from ambition. It comes from abiding in the vine. Just as branches cannot bear fruit apart from their source, I cannot bear spiritual fruit apart from your spirit. Teach me to draw from your life daily, to stay connected to the flow of grace that sustains all things. Lord, There are moments when purpose feels overwhelming, when the responsibilities of calling seem too heavy to carry. Yet you gently remind me that I am never asked to carry them alone. The same God who called me also equips me. You do not assign without assistance. You provide strength in proportion to the task. You send provision before the need arises, wisdom before the decision is made, courage before the step is taken. Purpose is not about my capacity, it is about your sufficiency. My weakness becomes the space where your glory shines brightest. Father, help me to guard my heart as I walk this path. Let me never lose wonder in the work. Let me not confuse activity with intimacy or progress with peace. Let purpose never become an idol that replaces the one who gave it. Keep my heart humble, my motives pure, and my spirit teachable. Let me remain soft enough to be shaped, flexible enough to be redirected, and brave enough to continue even when the way feels uncertain. Teach me that obedience is never wasted and surrender is never a setback. It is simply you leading me deeper into the fullness of your plan. Lord, I also pray for those who are discovering their divine purpose in this season. Let them not feel pressured to figure everything out. You are not hiding purpose from them. You are revealing it layer by layer. Give them peace in the process. Let them see that purpose does not begin when they reach a certain place. It begins the moment they trust you fully. The waiting is not a pause, it is preparation. The detour is not delay, it is direction. Let them rest in knowing that you never rush what you are refining. Father, I thank you that purpose is not a destination to reach, but a relationship to walk in. Each step I take with you fulfills it, even when I cannot see its significance. As I rise into this new day, let me carry this awareness like gentle fire, quiet but steady, burning with meaning that lights the way for others. Let my purpose today be simple yet eternal, to love well, to serve faithfully, to listen deeply, and to live fully aware that every moment is a chance to reflect you. And so, Lord, I step forward with a heart awake, hands open, and spirit aligned. The valley behind me has taught me endurance. The renewal within me has restored my faith, and the calling before me now gives direction to every breath. Purpose is not somewhere ahead of me, it is alive in me. You are the author of it, the keeper of it, and the very breath that sustains it. Let my walk today be a living prayer, a quiet echo of surrender, as I continue walking in divine purpose with grace, with courage, and with unwavering trust in you. Father, as I continue walking in the divine purpose you have set before me, I feel the steady rhythm of grace keeping time with every step. The journey has not been a sprint but a sacred pace, one that teaches me how to stay, how to endure, how to remain faithful long after the first light of inspiration fades. Father, you have shown me that purpose is not proven in beginnings, but in continuance. It is not defined by moments of clarity, but by the quiet strength to keep moving when the path narrows, when the applause fades, when only your whisper remains. You remind me that walking in divine purpose is not about momentum, it is about maturity. Lord, as I rise into another morning, I carry the awareness that purpose must be lived, not only understood. You are not asking for perfection, only perseverance. You are not measuring how far I have gone, but how closely I have stayed. The world glorifies speed and success, but you value steadiness and surrender. You have taught me that true growth is often invisible, like roots deepening in the dark. Faithfulness in the unseen builds the foundation for everything that will one day be revealed. So even when I feel unnoticed, I am never unseen. You see every small step, every hidden choice to trust, every quiet act of love that no one else knows. That, Father, is where purpose becomes real. Sometimes, Lord, I mistake purpose for performance. I believe that I must produce constantly to prove my worth. But you remind me that I am not called to impress. I am called to abide. Purpose flows not from pressure, but from presence. It is not what I achieve for you, but what I allow you to accomplish through me. My purpose does not depend on how much I do, but on how deeply I stay connected to you. Each day becomes a continuation of partnership. You lead, and I follow. You inspire, and I respond. The moment I begin to strive in my own strength, I lose the peace that anchors me. But when I return to you, everything realigns. And Father, there are days when walking in purpose feels lonely. The path narrows as distractions fade, and sometimes obedience separates me from familiar comfort. Yet even in solitude, you are near. You have never left me to walk alone. Your presence fills the space that silence leaves behind. When others do not understand, you do. When I question, you remind. When I falter, you steady. You have not only called me, you sustain me. And in that truth, I find the courage to take the next step. The journey is not about certainty, it is about trust. Lord, I have discovered that purpose and patience are woven together. Every divine calling requires waiting for clarity, for timing, for unfolding. You do not rush what you are perfecting. When I try to run ahead, I miss the rhythm of your grace. But when I slow to match your pace, I find that purpose unfolds naturally, like dawn breaking across the sky. It does not need to be forced. It needs only to be followed. Teach me to wait without weariness, to rest without retreating, to believe without demanding proof. Waiting is not inactivity, it is worship in motion. Father, I see now that purpose grows best in the soil of gratitude. When I stop to thank you for what already is, I find strength for what is yet to come. Gratitude sharpens my vision. It reminds me that every challenge has been preparation, every delay protection, every loss redirection. There are no wasted moments when you are the one writing the story. Even when I do not understand the plot, I can trust the author. Gratitude becomes the anchor that holds me steady through the winds of uncertainty. It turns frustration into faith and fear into focus. Lord, I have also come to realize that divine purpose is not something to possess, but something to pour out. It is not meant to be kept within me, but shared through love, compassion, and truth. You did not call me to build my own legacy, but to reflect your light wherever I go. Whether through words that heal, hands that serve, or silence that listens, my purpose is revealed each time. I choose love over pride, mercy over judgment, peace over anger. You remind me that purpose is not a crown to wear, but a cross to carry, a daily commitment to humility, kindness, and forgiveness. Father, sometimes I wonder if my small acts of obedience matter in the vastness of the world. Yet you gently remind me that purpose is not measured by scale but by sincerity. A single word spoken in truth can shift the course of another's heart. A quiet prayer whispered in faith can alter unseen realities. A small act of grace can echo farther than I will ever know. Purpose is not about doing something great. It is about allowing greatness to flow through ordinary moments. You are the multiplier of meaning, turning each act of faith into eternal significance. Lord, I ask you to help me walk in purpose without pride. Let me never mistake calling for ownership or confuse anointing with entitlement. Purpose is a gift, not a possession. It must be held lightly, carried carefully, and surrendered daily. Let me never forget that the purpose you entrust to me is yours first. I am not the source, I am the vessel. Keep me humble enough to serve and wise enough to listen. Let me celebrate the victories you bring, not as personal triumphs, but as evidence of your grace at work. Father, I also pray for endurance. Purpose often demands persistence when passion fades. There are seasons when inspiration runs dry, when results are unseen, when progress feels still. In those times, remind me that continuing is itself an act of worship. The greatest victories are often hidden within the smallest acts of perseverance. Teach me to stay faithful not because I feel strong, but because I know you are. Teach me to trust that your promises still hold even when my feelings do not. The same God who began this work in me will be faithful to complete it. Lord, as I move forward today, let my purpose be illuminated not by ambition, but by love. Let my words bring peace where there is conflict. Let my actions plant hope where there is despair. Let my presence reflect calm where there is chaos. Each moment is another chance to live the calling you have placed within me, to walk in purpose that is gentle yet powerful, quiet yet unshakable. The divine plan you have written is unfolding, not in grand gestures, but in every breath that says yes to you. And so, Father, as I walk on from this morning, I do so not chasing purpose, but carrying it, not striving for meaning, but living it. You are the meaning behind every step, the breath within every word, the strength behind every choice. My life is no longer about finding purpose. It is about becoming it, a living reflection of your love, your wisdom, and your grace, steady as the morning light that never fails to return. Father, as I stand at this quiet moment of reflection, I can feel how far this journey has carried me. Each prayer, each sunrise, each whisper of surrender has drawn me closer to you. From the first trembling words of longing to this stillness filled with peace, you have written a story of grace across every chapter of my soul. Father, it is not the end of the path, but a pause of breath before the next step. A reminder that faith is not a destination, but a rhythm that keeps moving with the heart that trusts. You have turned my mornings into meetings with eternity, teaching me that the smallest prayer can open the widest sky. Lord, as I look back, I see how each day of prayer has reshaped my heart. The weight I once carried has grown lighter. The shadows once feared have softened into understanding. You have taught me to walk not by sight, but by surrender. Not by certainty, but by faith. Every trial became a teacher, every silence a sacred invitation, every answered prayer a reminder that you were never far. The voice that once called out for rescue now speaks words of gratitude, not because life is easy, but because I have learned that you are faithful. In every dawn that breaks, I see evidence that love renews itself without needing permission. Father, this journey has been more than a series of prayers. It has been a transformation of perspective. I once believed prayer was something I brought to you, but now I know it is something you awaken within me. It is not my words that move heaven. It is your presence that moves me. You have taught me that prayer is less about asking and more about becoming still enough to hear, becoming strong enough to forgive, becoming open enough to receive. Each moment spent with you reshapes the world around me. For when my heart aligns with yours, even ordinary days carry holy meaning. Lord, as I walk forward from this place, I do not carry perfection, I carry peace. The storms may still come, but they no longer define me. I am anchored in something greater, steadier, and deeper than circumstance. The fire that once refined now fuels. The valley that once humbled now strengthens. And the light that once seemed distant now lives within me. I no longer pray for an easier path. I pray for a heart that can walk whatever road you choose with grace. The unknown no longer feels threatening. It feels sacred. For you are already there, waiting in tomorrow's dawn. Father, I am grateful for the way you have revealed yourself in both the quiet and the chaos. You have met me in whispers and in winds, in tears and in laughter. You have turned waiting into worship, confusion into clarity, sorrow into song. There were days I did not know how to pray, but even then, you prayed within me through every sigh and silence. You were never disappointed in my weakness. You used it to draw me nearer. You were never impatient with my doubt. You transformed it into deeper trust. Now I see that faith was never about the absence of fear, but the decision to walk through it with you beside me. Lord, as this season of prayer draws to a resting place, I want to thank you for every listener who has walked this journey with me. Every person who opened their heart to these words has become part of this sacred circle of faith. You have woven us together through spirit and story, teaching us that no prayer ever rises alone. We are connected by unseen threads of hope, bound by the same grace that sustains us all. I pray that each listener carries forward what they have found here, a renewed sense of peace, a gentler way of seeing, and a deeper courage to keep praying even when words fall short. Father, I lift up those who are still searching, still healing, still waiting for their breakthrough. Let them know that delay is not denial, and that you are already at work in ways they cannot yet see. Give them the strength to rest when weary and the humility to receive when answers arrive. Let this prayer become a reminder that faith is not about having control, but about trusting the one who does. Let them remember that even the smallest light pushes back the night, and that every morning holds mercy brand new. Lord, I also pray that the lessons carried through these chapters will remain alive long after this moment ends. Let every listener continue to wake each morning with gratitude. Let them greet the day not with fear, but with expectation, knowing that every sunrise carries new grace. Let their homes become places of peace, their work become worship, and their lives become testimonies of quiet strength. When challenges come, remind them of the words they have prayed here, that you are both the shepherd who leads and the Father who loves without condition. Father, I know that this journey of prayer will never truly end. It will take new forms, new seasons, new expressions of faith. Some prayers will be whispered in solitude. Others will rise in community, but all will carry the same heartbeat, the desire to walk closely with you, to live awake in the light of your presence. You have shown me that the life of faith is not about closing chapters, but about continuing them. Each day written in grace, each breath a continuation of this eternal conversation between Creator and creation. And now, as this final chapter unfolds into the stillness of morning, I imagine the horizon stretching wide before us. The sky glows softly, the air feels new, and somewhere within the quiet hum of the world, your presence lingers like a gentle wind. It moves through the leaves, brushes against the heart, and reminds us that you are always here steady, constant, unchanging. The journey continues, not in grand declarations, but in the rhythm of ordinary faithfulness, in every small act of trust that turns life itself into a prayer. To every soul who has walked to this moment, thank you for sharing this sacred time. Thank you for opening your heart, for breathing these prayers aloud, for choosing to meet the morning with faith. May these words find a home in your spirit and remind you that you are never alone. I invite you to share your thoughts, your prayers, and your stories below. Let this space become a living testimony of hope. If these moments have touched you, I welcome you to subscribe, to share this with others, and to continue walking this path of faith each new day. Let us rise together in gratitude and grace, carried forward by the same gentle light that always returns with the dawn, a light soft as the morning breeze, endless as the living waters that flow quietly beneath every new beginning.